Brothers in Arms?
The one we just listened to?
Yeah.
No.
Dire Straits.
First time I've heard it.
Do you like Dire Straits?
Mm-hmm. Hell yeah.
Yo, bro, I got my Bluebird looking at me for real.
What's the significance of that?
There was zero significance, and I used to just put it out on the table because it was cool. It was like some little knickknack that was my wife's grandmother's that we inherited. And so the reason I had it...
still around?
No. They passed away. They actually passed away before COVID.
Is that spooky now?
No.
No offense.
No, but... So Lex Friedman, there was no significance whatsoever, but I listened to the last Lex Friedman podcast on Father Rogan's podcast, and he had this poem at the very end. I don't know whose poem it is. I don't know if it was his or what, but it was an insane poem, and part of the subject was the little blue bird, but it was almost like the little blue bird was the creativity inside you that you block it off from other people, or you hide it away because you're afraid that you're going to get judged or whatever. So anyway, I thought that pertained a lot to what we were doing, man. So I just have him sitting there.
I'm a true believer that nothing comes easy, and if it does, it's probably not worthwhile.
Right.
I think I'm quoting that almost verbatim.
What's the quote?
Well, the significance of the quote is what's more important. Obviously, it's the you put energy in, you get energy out. Even if you get a tenth of the energy out, as long as you're plugging away to try to make something successful, whether it's a business or a relationship or whatever, you probably should get more than a tenth back. But you know what I'm saying? That you got to put time in to make it good. I bring that up all the time when I'm talking about I'm not going to say exactly who this was, but I saw somebody I haven't seen in a while. He looked completely broken.
It wasn't that ghost from like episode 3, was it?
No. Honestly, I wished it was. I want to see another ghost. I need to confirm it. But I saw this guy, and I haven't seen him in a long time. A lot of events have transpired in his life, and he's broken. And just not the same guy anymore. He can be something else, but I don't know if he will be. And I bring that back to my wife and I, my job and I, our relationship, your friends, you know. It's what you put in, and you got to do it over a long period of time to bring quality out of it, I think.
Yo, you ever think about it like this? Me and you originally bonded over lifting weights.
Yeah.
And just that gym life. And, you know, when you're in the gym, a lot of times one thing you do, you look around, you see a lot of people that are a lot bigger than you, and that can be discouraging. But you start to realize that the more work you're putting in, the more muscle you get, the more strength you get.
Another good example.
So think about the human body as like a battery where you can build all these muscles, and you're storing up, like your muscles are taking all the calories and all the carbs and everything else, and it's building just this bigger band. And then over your lifetime, think about how much more mass you've probably been able to move.
Great example. That's an excellent example.
It's cool though, isn't it? Like that's a pretty
your body
wild,
gets stronger and more agile, or whatever it is that you're training for.
I think your brain's the same way.
You're a better fighter the more that you practice. I don't know. Maybe that's the key word is practice.
Yo, is there a limit to how much information you can store in your brain?
Well,
I mean, can we even perceive that?
What was the movie with what's his face from Dirty Dancing?
The guy that died?
No. John Travolta.
Hold on, who else is it? No, he's not in Dirty Dancing.
Didn't he get struck by lightning?
No, dude, he's not Dirty Dancing. That's Patrick Swayze, bro.
I'm thinking
Patrick like Swayze.
Dang it! What's the name of that movie?
Grease.
No. Anyway, he could read.
Hold up, man. No, you can't just get. What dancing movie are you talking about?
Saturday Night Fever.
With John Travolta.
John Travolta. Yeah, John Travolta. But anyway, he got struck by lightning or something, right? Like this alien light hit him or something.
What movie?
And then he was able to use more of a capacity of his brain.
I know what you're talking. It's like Phenomenon or
something like that.
I'm trying to think without looking it up. It's like paranormal or...
Since then, I have wondered that as well.
Look, I'm going to look it up because we said we're going to look it up.
And I think that's what they do. I think that when you have savants and, because they do happen in nature, They happen in nature among all species, but particularly
that's
humans.
a pretty wild.
They use more. They
That's
have
a pretty
more
wild phenomenon in a human being.
It
the
is.
savant thing.
Yeah. Yeah.
Do you think normal people? When I say normal people, I mean normally savants. They're like autistic people, right? Like they don't interact the same socially that we would.
No.
So
because and part of it is because that's a part of their brain that's irrelevant, right?
And that's what I'm saying. That's what I was getting at, though. Do you think that normal-minded people, so what we consider normal, like us, functional adults, functional people, do you think there's a portion of our brains that are like that? We just never harnessed it?
I doubt mine.
Well, I mean, would you notice it?
I've burned way too many brain cells over the years.
Yeah.
It's not. I mean, I'm at that age too, I guess, where I don't have that many left anyway.
Well, your brain's done developing.
Sure,
but
that's what they say.
I guess what I'm saying though is, do you think normal people have the capacity to do maybe one thing that most normal people can't do? So for like you, for instance, I know you. I don't know how big you look on camera, but like you're one of the biggest upper body people I've ever met. And so maybe you have the capacity, like I don't know how many orangutans back you go, but like
I see what
you
saying.
have the capacity to be just a really big guy.
Well, then that
and there's other people that would never have that.
Yeah, that gets into the DNA sourcing, isn't it? Like the body types, exomorph, mesomorph, all that.
Yeah. You know, and I think like your son. I see it now, like knowing your son is an older person.
Yeah.
But like looking back at my dad and his dad, like they were big framed guys. Like my dad was a really big barrel chested guy.
Right.
And so now that's pretty rad because I'm thinking about my son and I'm like, no doubt he has the potential to be big, just a big guy.
Well, and you look at like,
I'm not saying I'm big. I'm not saying I'm big at all. I'm just saying
you have the potential to,
it came easy to me when I decided that I didn't want to be 150 pounds anymore and I wanted to just really start lifting weight.
Easy,
start trying to hit those 225 or 315 on squat, all that kind of stuff.
Well, our bodies were built to move things.
Yeah.
Some people's bodies were meant to jump high.
Yeah.
You know, some bodies
or like poor T
was to run faster. I don't know. Yeah, I think mine was to move things.
Yeah.
You know. So as far as
but
the mental,
but that makes you happy.
Oh yeah.
Like it's not funny. It's like people talk about females, like females in the workplace or whatever. And realistically, dude, I really understand that any concept that we ever talk about on here, there's a million different ways you could view it. Like women who decide that I'm going to be in the workplace, I'm going to move up, I'm going to be a CEO. All that. I mean, great. That,
knock yourself out.
Yeah, perfect. But there are women who I think their body is screaming at them like, I want a nest, I want a family, I want children, and I think when women feel the need to do that, like if they don't act on that and they don't have that, maybe they're not meeting their life happiness. Like they're not filling that full tank like they could. Like they know, hey, this is what I want, but I'm not doing it.
I think you're tapping into something that's. I like that conversation too. That goes for just about anything.
Yeah, it's not just females. That's one in particular.
You're using that as one example
because I know several females that like friends of my wife that I knew in college. Like some of them I knew before I knew my wife. That's pretty wild, dude. There's we have a friend of ours. Her and her husband live out. They live out south of here, and I knew her way before. I knew her for like 2 years before I knew my wife. And what's funny is me and her, we were going to inner city Mobile. I did a lot of, when I was in college, I had a really huge conviction on doing inner city ministry. And so I would go to inner city Mobile quite a bit. And her friend went on one of the trips and like we were cool and she was really nice and we were friends. And she goes back and I did not know, but Ashley was her roommate. And she was like, hey, I met somebody for you. And that was like 2 years before.
Wow.
It's cool. But anyway, I don't know, man.
Dude, that could have gone This could have never happened.
Yo, you ever think about? It's funny you say that because I've been
all the time. I think about it.
Okay, so here's your mom and your dad.
I'm sorry. Do you need to finish what you were saying?
What was I
don't
saying?
mean to interrupt.
No. I think I've made my point. My point is, I don't know what the point was.
I hated to do that. I'm sorry.
No, you're fine. Oh, my point is I think that people need to focus on like what they want to do in their life or what their existence is telling, like what makes you happy. So in your particular case, you lifting weights, you picking up big things made you happy. Well, it made me happy too. I just didn't find it till later on in life.
Yeah, I got you.
And then we were talking about the jiu-jitsu stuff right before we started this, because if you can't tell, I'm pretty beat up.
Black eye, busted lip.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure I broke my nose. But there's, I had a brother, or I still have a brother, but when I grew up, I had a brother close to my age. And man, if we were ever home by ourselves, it's all we did was wrestle, wrestle. And we loved WWF, WCW, all that.
Yeah.
And we would just try all those moves. Well, a lot of that stuff is really based on actual wrestling, and you're.
Oh, yeah.
So here, we're just like lion cubs.
Yeah.
And we're twisting around and fighting and all that. So the jiu-jitsu stuff now, you go over there and get beat up. Like you asked me if it stunned me. Like I got hit in the face. And it really did for a second. It was just like what's going on?
Right. Yeah.
What's funny, man, is at that exact same time, the owner of the gym, it was him and his wife, but it was his wife. She's like, get away from the wall, get away from the wall. She's like yelling at us. But I had just I had my bell rung and I couldn't hear I couldn't make sense of what was going on for a second. And we were like getting yelled at the same time. But dude, it's fun, man. It's just, if you can keep your body together. And that from lifting weights, man, that sometimes you just get these little nagging injuries, like your shoulder's tight or your knee friggin' hurts or your back is tight. And it's always just one thing.
I'm getting to the end of mine. I think that when my
like you're going to end it?
Well, I think that once my firefighting career is over, I'm going to stop, honestly.
What, lifting?
Yeah. At least what I'm doing.
So have you ever gone back and forth from deciding... like I want to be big, or like I want to be cut, or I want to be big again.
Yeah.
Because you good over there?
Yeah, I'm good.
Are you about to arm bar
I just
that?
like to move. So there we go.
Trying to omoplata
it's good to keep changes, because you get stagnant after a while, but there's I'll set different goals for myself. Like last year, I wanted to bench 315 for 20 reps. I wanted to
Hold
get
up, time
20.
set. Do you know the math on that? Have you ever learned that?
What do you mean?
Okay, so like if you lift 315 for 10, like if you were going to estimate your max off of that, you take the number of reps times 7 and add it to the total amount of weight that you're doing. Did you ever know that?
Times 7?
7.
Wow.
So bro, this gym doesn't even exist anymore. When I used to travel, there was this, it was called Main Street Gym in Crystal River, Florida. Middle of nowhere, bro.
It's like in Florida?
No. Well, for like 6 weeks I did on a job trip.
Really?
No, not really. Not really. In like a hotel. But dude, hold up. This is actually really funny. So
I'm just glad you're
Crystal
being honest.
River, Florida is like, if you just carved out that part of Florida, it's like the armpit of Florida. It literally is the armpit of Florida. It's right there. It's I don't even want to call it swamp or anything.
Wouldn't it be the ankle?
No.
It'd be that.
Like it'd be like if Pensacola and Mobile.
You say
Alabama,
armpit.
Yeah.
That's what I'm saying. It's more like a foot.
So Crystal River's north of Tampa. And they had this gym there, and the gym had a picture of Babe Ruth in front of the gym. Like that's how old this gym was. And it was like upstairs, and it was all wood floors.
Awesome.
And dude, like when you would lift the weights, you're like, dude, is this gonna like go through the floor?
I'm already picturing this. I love it.
It's like an old school gym.
Yes.
That's the first place I ever hit 315 on bench.
Man.
But on the wall, it had this little chart that's describing what I was saying about the 7 pounds. And I had never heard that before in my life. And then, of course, I took a picture of it, put it to memory, and it's always proven accurate to me.
Yeah.
So if I'm doing 225 and I'm thinking about upping my weight, if I hit it 10 times, well, that means I have a range there of about 70 pounds.
What's the name of that place again?
Well, it's out of business now is what's crazy, but it's
really?
Main Street Gym in Crystal River, Florida. But dude, what's even sicker
I bet there's pictures still. I bet it was. a well-liked place.
Dude, that's a really good restaurant. Like maybe one of the best restaurants I've ever eaten at in my life. Vintage on 5th.
Is it real close to that?
It's in a house. Yeah.
Do you know what it would have been a really good name for that restaurant?
What?
Post-workout. Something like that.
Yo, dude, there was
they come over there.
There was a firefighter guy there, and his wife was kind of hot. And
of course.
What does that mean? Like every firefighter has a hot wife?
Normal.
They should, right? Dude, okay, before I tell this story about before I tell the story about the other firefighter with a hot wife. So I'm working for a hospital company, and I'm in a practice. And like you're usually right next to someone and you're training them how to do their job, like shoulder to shoulder training. That's what I was doing. And someone had a medical emergency. I'm not laughing that they had a medical emergency, but somebody had it was like a cardiac place, like a cardiologist. And so they were like, no, you need to go to the hospital. Like somebody came in, they were having an event. So firefighters and paramedics were coming in. Like they respond, even if it's at the hospital.
Oh, yeah.
Like they're coming to take, you know how that goes. They take them over to the hospital.
Yep.
This lady, bro, had something for firemen. And like when she's like, are they here? Like she was like,
yeah.
And I mean, I know she was putting on, but like she really wanted people to know she was into firemen. Like she just had a thing.
Yeah.
So evidently, man, hey, bro, if you're out there and you're a fireman and you're single,
Angie, my wife,
don't settle.
She can't keep her hands off of me.
Yeah.
So
in Crystal River, Florida, there's a guy who owned he owned like a car detailing place. So he had like one of those like nice trucks, you know, and he was actually a pretty fit guy, pretty tan guy. Like he really had nothing to worry about. You know what I mean? But like me and my buddy who, dude, I'm trying to get him on this podcast, but he looks like Screech.
Oh yeah.
Like he's not a weightlifting guy, but he would always lift with me. And then like when we'd be out of town for like a good consistent amount of time, we would always go work out together. We would always go eat like a good breakfast, and we bonded over it. So anyway, we're in there, and he notices the same thing that I noticed, because this gym is like basically going out of business. And by the end of the 6 weeks we're there, the nice ladies like quitting. Bro, we like lived at this place. We would show up and play foosball out on the little deck. We loved it. It was like our little home away from home. But anyway, so this fireman, we could tell that he was a little threatened by like, here's these two new young dudes, you know, and like my buddy's not a bad looking dude. And so, you know, and then his wife's in there working it out, and like he'd come in, and like, of course, bro, I'm not checking dude's wife out, but it's like he'd come in and you could tell he was.
It doesn't matter.
Kind of like defensive about it.
Yeah.
And then I was yoked at that time. I really was. That was probably one of the strongest pound for pound times for me.
Yeah.
And we were like in the sauna, we were jumping rope, and I hit 315 on bench. And it's like, it has to feel something like this, man, when you get your belts over in Jiu Jitsu too. But I had worked so hard. Dude, I can remember being at the downtown YMCA with 225 on the bar, and I had my mother-in-law on this side and Ashley on that side, and I tried to get it and failed, and two women had to pick it up off of me.
Seriously?
Yeah, I remember that.
Yikes.
And I mean, that was like really early. I mean, it was earlier on, obviously, but you know, Rome's not built in a day, man. And so you keep just building this. And so the day I hit 315 on bench, I was so pumped. I have it on video somewhere. I went and did a 315 squat, and I went and did a 315 deadlift at the same time. Of course, I had hit those way before.
But it was good to do it.
Yeah, it was like the day. It's like, man, I'm gonna do it on everything. If I can do it today, I'm gonna do it on everything.
Well, I saw a kid 2 days ago. He was with his buddies, and they were recording it, and he hit 225 for the first time in his life, and he was jumping up and down.
He should.
I was cool. I was happy for him. I didn't even know him.
Dude, you know how many people can't do that?
I know. There's something like less than 0.001% of the world can't do that, which makes sense.
I thought it was. I guess because I'd heard a statistic, something like that. There was a statistic close to that had to do with 315. The amount,
which of course is even smaller.
Yeah, because most women can't do, and like you couldn't pick it up off the floor. You couldn't do anything.
Well, and babies, old people,
kids, old people. Yeah,
and keeping into account that it's everybody.
And just because me and you can do it right now
doesn't mean we can do it at 89.
Correct. Yeah. So there's like a short window of time.
Sure.
And I couldn't do it until I don't remember where. My deadlifts used to be through the roof, dude.
I'm halfway to 90
pounds.
So
like on deadlift?
Yeah. No. Age. 90 years.
Oh. Yeah. I didn't know what you're talking about.
So I want to hear what you have to say about that. We were talking about the savants and using your brain capacity. Full circle here.
Well, full circle.
I'm interested in that conversation. I like it.
I mean, I've always felt like I've always felt like there were little pieces of like talent in my head or like potential talent that I would have as a kid that, you know, it was like there was always a mental decision like, okay, am I going to pursue this or not? And I don't know if that was just I was an extra talented kid. I mean, you only know your life, right? But like learning things sometimes to me has been easy. So building these shelves or trying to decide to podcast and then thinking through how to do that and figuring that out, or starting a business, or bro, going back, like we were talking about Sherwin Williams earlier. I mean, when you're managing a store and you got people that are there that have either been there half the time you've been alive, you know, like there's a lot of crap that I've run into that has not been that hard to overcome. But then there's other things that are, you know. And so I guess I just wonder sometimes, like, if we're capturing our full potential. But some of it too, man, is like maybe we can't even perceive what our full potential is because it basically just doesn't exist yet. You know what I mean? So, and before, I don't mean to cut you off because you probably got a good idea right there, but I was telling my wife, I was like, you know, I was talking to my grandmother. I'm talking to a lot of people in this. Let me try to
I love it.
Say this, but
good reference.
So I'm talking to my grandmother the other day, and she was telling me about how she remembered her and my grandfather buying an like a window air conditioning unit and taking it to her parents, like out in Sparta, Tennessee. And she said that was the first air conditioning unit they ever had. So then in my head, I'm thinking, wow. Okay, 3 generations back from me, they didn't even have an air conditioning unit. So 3 generations out from me, like they're going to look back on us and think, man, they lived without fill in the blank. But like we don't even have the ability to perceive that at all.
I know.
Do you dig what I mean?
Absolutely.
Like maybe in 20 years, they figure out some kind of medicine that all kids take, and then basically by 20 years old, everybody is naturally bigger, healthier, lives to 200, and everybody can lift 225. And then they look back on this and go, hey man, look at my dad. Before everybody was getting the juice,
yeah,
he was lifting 225 just natty.
Right.
Well, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
like it could be something like that. I don't know, man.
Let's say we were able to reach 100% of our brain capacity. Would that mean that we would understand God? And that's the reason that we can't achieve it? Like there's different levels, and
that's a good question.
And there is a like a governor in our brain.
Well, human beings start at just square one, man. You know, when we're born, for what? How many years would you just be helpless?
We just know to release bowels, cry, and swallow milk.
Yeah, you were so bound to your parents for everything. Mm-hmm. Like if you just
completely helpless. Other species.
At what age do you think kids? At what age do you think kids could truly, if you just left them in this house? Now, obviously, they couldn't drive, but I mean, they would if they had food here. Yeah, I mean, even when you think about it like that, it's still like I mean, they still can't get their own food. Like, how long are we just helpless?
Probably 6.
I was thinking like 20.
20?
No, I think my 6-year-old could definitely stay here by herself and she'd live for weeks.
Yeah.
Or let herself out and go ask the neighbors for help or ask she's hungry. But even at that point, like they're asking for help.
I thought you meant like how they don't need us anymore. What is a real age? And
you mean
they
like
don't
permanently?
Yes, and they don't have to send out bills or anything. They just take over the house. What age? Like they figured out a way.
I mean, I think realistically, kids could do it at. I mean, the boxcar children, bro, they were doing it at what, like 10?
I mean, essentially,
11?
An apocalypse. Just think that way.
Yeah, I think an 8-year-old, 7, 8-year-old, they could. I think a good, solid 6 and 8-year-old together would be good. I think you need a buddy. That would matter too.
Definitely need a team.
Yeah.
You think just one? Yeah, probably one. My biggest fear, man, as many dogs as is out here, that there would be roaming dogs.
Yeah, you'd get dog packs. Man, it'd be crazy.
Easily.
You think about that kind of stuff much?
All the time, dude.
Like, I'm not a prepper. I don't save up cans, and if you are a prepper, you should probably tell everybody you're not a prepper so everybody doesn't show up at your house and shoot you in the face. And take all your stuff when it does
GPS keep working after an apocalypse?
Man, I've watched some videos on this stuff, and I haven't watched any lately. There's some really good YouTube videos that like simulate this stuff and talk about how at a certain point, you know, X would happen. And I think the biggest threat are the nuclear power plants. Like, there's a lot of things that people work on or have to be maintained.
Yeah, that would be bad when they have the meltdowns. It would contaminate a lot of area around it.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a good point.
So don't go to Crystal River, Florida. And to tie this totally up, the only beach that they have anywhere near this place, I forget the name of the beach, but it was actually pretty dope. And then we look over to the right, and there's a nuclear power plant. Huh. And then when I looked up the review online, it was like, yeah, it's a pretty cool beach if you like a beach right next to a nuclear power plant.
Dang.
I don't know, dude. It was very like Simpsons in real life.
Were there signs up like conditions for the water?
No, I don't think it's like that. I mean, at least they're not telling you that. Yeah,
that's a big one. A lot of conspiracy theorists will tell you otherwise.
Some Aaron Brockovich.
Yeah,
some crazy stuff.
So yeah, as far as
there's a lot right there that we just talked about, but
it's the capacity of the brain. I think about that too. And I wonder if our mind was to expand. I mean, you think about LSD and these different drugs that people take. That's exactly what they're doing, right? They're trying to reach different areas of the brain.
Or just get messed up.
They want to get high, but that's the result, supposedly.
Well, yeah. I mean, there are a lot of people who would say that based on a certain substance. I mean, even alcohol at a certain level. Like if you just have one little drink, you have that little happy epiphany kind of feeling moment where you're somewhere between giddy and just sharp for a second, and maybe that's your brain getting excited. Your brain's a big muscle, needs massaged. I mean, I think that's why a lot of people reach for drugs or reach for pot or booze or whatever. It's because you want to kind of alter your state a little bit. Your brain obviously wants it because it keeps asking for it, but I don't know, man. I think inadvertently that stuff happens to people. Was my point, is that you experiment with these different substances, and then all of a sudden you start noticing, like, hey, man, I'm milder, or you see yourself in some kind of clear way. It's almost like you see yourself from an outside point of view, or like an altered state where you go, dang, man, when I do that one thing, like maybe I'm kind of a butt, or whatever it is. So I think there's consistently people that come away from things like LSD, pot, and psilocybin mushrooms. Like all those three right there, that's kind of the cusp of where I would draw the line and say,
what else is
these
there
are kind
after?
of the.
There isn't anything.
I don't know, man. I mean, Joe Rogan's had some people on there that are saying that they think heroin should be legal, and I mean, he just not too long ago was talking about how cocaine should be legal. And, bro, where we live in this country right now, you can't even go out and get enough of your allergy medicine in 1 week. I mean, in 1 month.
Yeah.
They don't trust you enough to even have enough of your own allergy medicine because there's some crackhead, minivan driving Bubba in West Virginia that's like cooking up meth. Like, bro, let them blow themselves up and smoke their cheap trash drugs and stop policing everybody else's life because of that stuff. Like, that part of what Joe Rogan preaches, I totally understand. But I think there's a whole separate side where, maybe he does talk about it when he talks about the education piece, but it's like, can people really handle it? Like, if we can't even handle our allergy medicine for 1 month.
Yeah.
I don't know, man. I don't.
That's a good question. I mean, you look at there's small towns everywhere now that are becoming opioid train wrecks.
Yeah,
the pain pills.
Man, do you have much experience with those? Like, have you had?
Oh yeah, I've had them before.
I don't really care for them too much.
Well, I could easily see how someone would become addicted. I really do. I've had them before, and it takes the pain away, and it puts you in a good mood. But that's it. Usually it makes me sleepy, but people very close to me have become addicted and had to go through treatment and the whole thing. It ruined their lives, and it's very real. Dude. Yeah. I don't know. And you're talking about entire towns. Like, that's a very common thing that people don't work because of it. You know, and people's houses get broken into because of it, you know, that it's just in the town, you know.
Yeah, it's a very complex problem.
So what do you do? I mean, yeah, it's very complex, but what do you do? I mean,
yeah, I mean,
I'm hoping that the appetite is not out there to people are really wanting to do drugs, but at the same time, I still don't understand, and this is just my personal opinion. I still don't understand why marijuana is illegal anywhere.
Yeah,
I don't.
It's retarded.
I mean, it's literally a naturally occurring substance in the wild. And the same thing with mushrooms. I don't get it. It's not. It's literally.
Well, I mean, even the Bible, bro, talks about all seed-bearing plants have value. I don't know.
I mean, I'm not using it. Obviously, you know, I'm subject to drug tests and that sort of thing, and it's certainly not in my life right now. But I just, for others that want to, I don't know. Maybe I'm wrong. It just seems like just a natural thing. I don't know. It occurs in nature, man. I don't know.
This is the best story that I have to really portray my view on it. I talk a lot about having gone to a ton of concerts. Yeah. There was a period in my life where I was trying to see everything. I don't know why. I was soaking. I had the means to do it. I would look at all the music that was coming. If I didn't know someone, I would check it out if it interested me at all. I lived so close to downtown Nashville that I would get on StubHub just like one afternoon. I'd get off work, you know, and just I didn't have kids. Well, I had kids, but they both were really little, or I just had one.
And you didn't know where they lived at the time.
I didn't know them, man.
I didn't know mine either.
I got to party in high school, man, and I freaking dude.
See you when you're all grown up.
Good luck, little buddy. My dude on the podcast said if you make it to 6 or 8, you're good.
Anything, your mama's right there. See ya.
Yeah, no, but I had 2 little kids at home, but they were little. And so, you know, they go to bed at like 7. I'd go off and just see the Scorpions at like Grand Ole Opry House for like $7.
That's never occurred to me.
What?
3 years ago, I think it was, me and Danny and Angie went to the Arnold Classic in Columbus. And we were there, and it was just, dude, we're at the Arnold Classic. I've never been to a professional bodybuilding show in my life. And if you've ever heard of the Arnold, it's got all kinds of these championships. They had pole dancing championship there.
Really?
Dude. Axe throwing.
Why? Why would all that be included?
I don't know. It's
they just tag along, probably pay the fee.
Anything that is even pseudo-related
that, like,
to athletic.
Soups up the circus?
Yeah. It felt like a circus, for real.
Where was it? You said Columbus?
Ohio.
Do they always do it there?
Mm-hmm. Every year. But anyway, there was a bodybuilding contest and a strongman, and that's what we were there for, a strongman. And it never occurred to me until we were there. I thought, dude, I can do this whenever I want. I can just go to these things. Why haven't I done that before? Like looking at them in a magazine or seeing them on TV, it never occurred to me, hey, dude, you can be there.
Well, dude, when we were kids, I don't think our families, or at least mine in particular, I mean, maybe some people did, but I don't think the means were technically that were there.
Oh, for sure. Yeah. Not with us at all.
I don't think people had the disposable income like they do now.
Yeah. If we bumped into the Judds at Kroger.
Let me say that real clear, man, because I'm not saying my parents were broke. I'm just saying keep in mind that flights, like all the Southwest stuff wasn't going on. You couldn't just go to Tampa for $99.
Plane.
Bro, you're loading up in the back of a Dodge Ram Charger, hoping that mother doesn't burn up on the way 10 hours to Florida to some place that you had to like maybe either go to the library and print out directions, or like had to write down the directions, or you got one of those stupid Randall McNally maps or whatever the freak, or you stopped at the Welcome Center to get the map for the state you were going into. Like, that's what I'm saying. I'm not saying people were broke. I'm just saying it was hard. It was harder to even know where the freak you were going. So if you go to Destin in like the 90s, you know, maybe you ask a couple of your buddies if you knew somebody that like went to Destin. Hey, what's a good restaurant? You can't just like dial up and figure out. Like you're deciding what you're going to eat, like when you're driving in town looking. So it's like harder. It was harder to go out and do that kind of stuff, I think.
Oh, of course.
Like now it's like you have 10 apps you could plan out. Anybody can plan a trip now.
Yeah. You can literally order food at a Kroger en route to Florida and go pick it up. The order will be ready.
Yeah.
As you go. You don't even have to shop. Did you have a TomTom? Do you remember those?
TomTom.
The little navigation thing. It was a GPS. It was rudimentary, but it was sort of like the first.
Dude, I still am I'm pretty anti using Google, like Google Maps and that kind of stuff. Like if we go on vacation, I'll dial it up, and
they already know who
now
you
in
are.
our car we have the what's the little app that works with Apple in your car. Anyway, it pulls it up on the screen. I can't think of what it's called, but it pulls it up and you can see how long it's going to take to get you there. I like that. But other than that, man, if I'm like going, I try not to use it, man. All the places I'm going around in Nashville, because I'm literally from here, I'm not mapping anything. I just know how to get there.
Although if you have your phone on, it's tracking anyway. Do you have?
Yeah, but I'm not like going to kill somebody.
Right. But I figured that's what you were talking about. It's just you just don't care for anybody to know where you're going. I don't think they're studying this.
Bro,
anyway.
I never ever think about anything in that framework right there. I don't care if they do watch me. I feel like if they watch, bro, if they watch me, it's one more view on my podcast. So whatever.
Good point.
You know what I'm saying? Like I'm not doing anything anyway that I have to worry about what anybody thinks about what I'm doing.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not joining any cults. I'm not starting any cults. I'm not doing anything weird. I don't have anybody chained up in here. I don't care.
Well, that's what makes America good, right?
Yeah.
We can do what we want.
I think that right there is the American dream. I think the American dream is being able to do a job that makes you happy, not being forced to do something that makes you miserable. You know, just like your existence just sucks. Like that pursuit of happiness piece. That you can decide, hey man, if I want to go to church 15 times a week, that makes me happy, go do that. If I want to go beat up everybody at Jiu Jitsu 7 days a week, go do that. Do you know what I'm saying? Like that, I think it's that simple, and then just not tread all over each other.
You just summed it up.
That's the American dream.
You know what it was in the 40s and 50s, it was sold to us that it was, not to us, but it was sold to us as owning a home. But I think what we're understanding now, and I just read this thing the other day, it was amazing, but that was a ploy to get banks to be able to lend out money, because people weren't doing anything with their money. So the American dream was sold.
Yeah, I just did it again. I wiped my nose.
Yeah,
it's jacked up.
It's all red too. Like you're at the beginning stage of a cry.
Oh, you have no idea. It's like Fight Club in real life. You can just go over there and do this.
Yeah,
it's so fun.
But you can't tell anybody. But no,
hey, what if they don't even exist, man?
They may not. It may be all in your head.
Yeah, but we do. Go back to what you were saying.
No. It was just. I forget.
No, man. I think what we're saying though is that what I want to say about it more so than what we're saying about it is, I just think we live in such a cool place, dude. Like we really do. And not just in Tennessee, but I'm saying in this country. Like you have 50 different divided out little pieces of pizza with their own little twist on democracy and being part of a republic. And if California wants to let all those homeless people live out there and they want to feed them and do all that, hey man, do it. If you go broke doing it, then the other 49 states are going to know that's a bad idea.
Right.
Now, if a state is doing something and it is working in some way, you know, maybe we look at it. But I mean, dude, think about how vast the United States is just in geography.
Well, that's part of the problem too, is that we're not realizing that.
Yeah.
I think people get caught up in the world is so small.
And it's complex too. Like this, what we're discussing is super complex. So you have the geographical differences of, you know, Oregon to Alaska to Hawaii to Key West to Texas to West Virginia. And then you get out in the Midwest. Bro, and then I love the fact that we still call it the Midwest, and it's like really northeast. But anyway, so then you get out in Montana, and bro, there's places in this country where there's like nobody.
Yeah.
Still.
Do you know how cheap property is in Arizona and New Mexico and places like that? Just
Yeah,
out in the
but
middle
why
of
would you
nowhere?
want to live there?
I'm just saying, I mean, it's still there. Nobody's touching it. It's possible. We have choices.
I mean, Vegas is in the middle of the desert.
Yeah. Now, it was brought up out of the ashes, I guess, or the sand.
You know the parts that would scare me about living out there and
The bugs. Scorpions. Dude. When I was in Iraq,
I got a scorpion in my boot.
and my first deployment was to UAE, and they were all over the place. Camel spiders, which those aren't in Nevada, but Iraq, there were scorpions. You had those little
Like they suck more
glue
than
pads.
wasps.
Huh?
Like they suck more than wasps.
Well, they just creep. You know, they're at night. They're active at night. And, you know, you got your boots on the floor or whatever. It's not fun, man. It's spooky. I never got stung, thankfully, but they're around. And in places like that, and they're small too, man, out there.
I have no concept of how big a scorpion is.
Yeah.
So
they glow. You can put like a ultraviolet light on them and they glow. Creepy.
Really?
They're alien. They might as well be alien.
Yo, do you ever think about that? I watched a documentary the other day on this guy, and I wish I knew the name of the documentary. And we still haven't looked up to the John Travolta I think it's Phenomenon. Is that the name of the movie?
I think you're right.
I think it's it.
But that's supposedly what happened in that movie, is that he was able to get to certain points of his brain that was inaccessible normally to humans.
So do you think that the question I was about to ask you, the animals thing, like there's certain animals that maybe in a way don't make sense, like an octopus. So I'm watching this documentary, and it's about this guy, and he would go out and have this interaction with an octopus every day for it was like 200 or 300 days. And it had, like the effect was completely different than what he thought. Like this thing would like swim with him, and like it totally understood that he was no threat whatsoever. And it would like swim with him and hang on to him, and he was just like snorkeling in this area. So it made me wonder, could there be animals that came here like frozen in some comet or whatever? Like, could there be animals that did not start here that maybe don't make sense? So we get tossed into this life, and you're like tossed in right in the middle of some chaos.
Yeah.
And
that's interesting. One of the moons of Jupiter is ocean covered. It's frozen on the outside, but it's a complete ocean underneath.
Yeah.
Something like 1 mile of ice.
Do you believe that there's life outside of this planet?
Oh, yeah. It's probably in our solar system, man. I think about that one a lot, too.
Yeah, I do, too. I think it's almost so probable just because of the sheer vastness of space.
Oh, yeah. The probability is there is life out there for sure. I think that there's I think that it would be pretty exciting to find life on, I think it's Europa, I think is the name
of it. Is that a moon of Saturn?
Jupiter.
Let's get this right.
In fact, I'll let you look that up. I'm going to...
Yeah, you do your thing, man. Europa. It's Jupiter. Yo, bro, let's start right here. Yo, I got some stuff. I'll show you. So I want to show this before, but me and you had talked about trying to like talk about the Afghanistan stuff.
Yeah.
I mean, it does bother me. I've really tried hard not to pay attention to the news in general since the election and all that, and I've done a really good job. And
it's a pretty big deal. You can't escape this one.
Yeah, this one bothers me for a lot of reasons. One, because there's a lot of ties to people who I respect, and especially in like the podcasting world, there's a lot of service members.
Oh yeah,
that like Marcus Luttrell, and you think about what that dude went through. But anyway, before we get into all that, and we'll start right back there with Marcus Luttrell, I wanted to show you some of this stuff, dude, because I think they're really like the foundation of my argument on anything I say with Afghanistan is that anytime anyone's negative about America, I think it's wrong, man. I think it's like the wrong way to view it, because that star, like the stars and stripes and the flag and all that, what it really does, like, yeah, there's some bad stuff that happens. There's some presidents that suck. There's some people that do things they shouldn't do. There's people that shoot up schools, all of that. But like when you think about what we really have here, which is there's no king or queen, dude. Like that's what these other countries looking in on us don't understand, like about Trump or anybody else. Bro, me and you as a sovereign citizen are just as important. And then multiply that by how many ever citizens there are in this country. And things like that have not existed before. And not to the level of like, dude, so this paper that I'm looking at is Apollo 11. This was from my grandparents too. This is July 16th, 1969. And Apollo 11 shoots off and it says, look, I'm going to show this. And it says, next stop, the moon.
Bro, that is incredible.
Yo, so here's what's incredible about this. And
Where did you get that?
This is Ashland Daily Independent. This is where my wife's from. So this was her grandparents' newspaper.
Wow.
This is really from that, like it's not a remake, any of that. Like they had this.
They gave that to you?
Yeah, like they passed away and
Oh, it's part of the...
I was like the only one that, I mean, yeah, I wanted it.
Dude, that is great.
Yeah. So, yeah, July 16th, 1969. And it says, so they shoot Apollo 11 out there, and it takes like 7 or 8 days for it to get there.
Right.
Right?
Yeah.
So what's so cool about this paper is that they hadn't made it yet. And then if you watch anything about Apollo 11, bro, they almost died, I think, like 6 or 7 times.
Yeah.
And then it got me thinking too, man, about, we watched, I think me and you both saw the podcast with the dude from Black Rifle and Joe Rogan. And he was talking about how rad the United States was and how they sent him in to just stir up gunfights.
Yeah.
And all these different military things we do. But then I think about some of the scientific exploration that we've done. And when you send these little capsules that they were shooting basically on the end of a rocket,
yeah,
like shooting it out of a barrel of a gun at the moon, which moves, from the earth, which also moves.
Yeah.
And you hit it. And these dudes are in this little capsule. It would be the same as like, exploring the ocean. They can't live outside that little bubble. So now you have to keep these dudes alive for X number of days, get them there, get them back. It's incredible.
It's incredible.
And so there's a lot of those technical advancements and things that we were talking about like earlier. Me and you at this point, 30, 40 years old, you can see the difference of when you were a kid to now. You can see how much technology has advanced. Look how much farther voices can reach, in their message or whatever else they're saying, and videos and music and, dude. So I was digging to find this, and I know they have that Woodstock 99 special, like the Woodstock documentary that's on like Netflix or HBO or something right now. Have you heard about that?
Mm-hmm.
So I've had a couple of people recommend it to me, but I found this Rolling Stone magazine, and I started looking at this cover, man. And everybody on this cover is like a huge star at this point. And so you look back, I mean, these people were just 6 to 9 years old at that point as a band.
Yeah.
And then you got all these. So anyway, man, my whole point is we live in this cool place that has come up with country music and blues music. And, bro, we just like made up sports that now the rest of the world just does.
Yeah.
Do you know what I'm saying?
Yeah. True.
And I thought a lot about me and you both watched the how do you know me Parks? How do you say your name on Joe Rogan's podcast?
Something like that.
So the North Korean that escaped. And one of the things that she said that just lit a fire in my brain was when she said that her father, who ended up being in prison for this, North Koreans they're not allowed to sell things. Like, I can't sell you. They can't trade.
A lot of black market.
Yeah. And so her dad figured out ways to do that in the black market, got caught, ended up in prison. And I got to thinking about how humans are very savvy at coming up with ways to just like either make something valuable or figure out in a creative way how to create some sort of capital for themselves.
Right.
And then you look at a place where we just let that be free. Like, we got some rules, you can't steal from people. We have, there's some rails there, and I think that's needed. But now look at all the crazy stuff that me and you have seen since I was born in 83. and you would have been what, like 8 years before that. So like were you 75 or 76?
I was
77.
Yeah,
that's a good year.
Well, I was born in 76.
76.
Yeah.
But yeah, man, I mean, think about all the crazy Nintendo and video games and it's, like, bro, it's endless if you give people just the freedom to, hey man, go out and create.
Yeah.
Like, look what's happened. All these great albums.
Imagine if the government was your dictator who decided at birth what you were going to do for a living.
Yeah, but see, I can't even conceive that because I'm thinking like, nah, I'm not doing that.
I mean. That's what I mean. But
but we're born.
That's what makes America
born wild
beautiful.
Wolves, though. Like, I think there's a mindset to a free person where and I think you see a lot of this stuff with COVID right now when people are just like, nah, bro, you're just not telling me what to do.
Right.
I'm scared just like everybody else.
That's where it's coming from. Yeah.
I don't get it just like everybody else.
Mm-hmm.
But I also don't trust you telling me what to do. I think there's a lot of that, and I think that's that inner free wolf. Now, sometimes can we freak out and it be not for the good?
Over-exaggerated, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, of course.
And so we got to figure that out. But I don't know, man. I mean, so I'm saying all that to say that that's America to me. It's not all this, I know there's problems. And I think any rational person would admit, yes, there are issues here. There are things we need to fix. There's different little subcultures that have their problems, or maybe some way it contrasts against like the societal norms. You know what I mean? And I there's some, I don't know, there's a whole discussion there, but I think we're doing a really good job. I think we're trying hard. This is no joke, bro. This is not like some kind of racial padding or something, but when I see my kids running around with other ethnically different kids, for real, I think, man, like this is it. This is what Martin Luther King was talking about. Like, we are so far away from tribalism, which is what racism and all that really is just this tribalistic, I'm better than them. I think you see some of that in the Christian world. I think you see, whatever, man. I think people like to think that their way is the best way, when really, what I was saying before, with all these, you got 50 states that just get to try it out.
Yeah.
And if you don't like Tennessee's taste of democracy and whatever, then slide over and you can go over to North Carolina and it's tinted just a little different and it's similar. I don't know, man. I think we have such a great spot that the media and the algorithm, they all want us scared. They all want us infighting. They all want us paying attention to their news. But I think when you wake up and really think about all the art and the sports, and bro, you don't have to work out in a weight room very long to understand why we win a lot of world wars too. I mean, big American boys, black, white, whatever, bro, that, like, we get big, we get strong, we have calories, we have food. You know what I'm saying?
It has never,
that's America to me.
It's never tracked with me or the people that I know. I mean, it's true. I've been involved since I can remember. Well, as my entire adult life, I've been a part of a fire department and military, and both. And it just doesn't track. We depend so much on each other. The color of somebody seems so ridiculous to anyone to make an issue about that.
It's like, seriously, dude.
It's just, God, man. I to know the person, of course. I mean,
unless you're making important. A really good joke about those people.
Yeah, jokes, yeah. And there's plenty to go around for everybody. That's the other thing. So
yeah.
But no, I mean,
yeah, for sure.
It's something, I honestly, man, I really do think. I think it's the majority of people, period, around the world are good people. Vast majority. They don't want war. They don't want conflict with their neighbor. They're not going to judge you. They want to live their own life. They want to enjoy their kids and their grandkids too. They don't mind sharing things with their neighbor. That's the vast majority of people.
Let's just be cool. China can make a bunch of cheap junk really quick. Let's just let them keep doing that. They do that solid.
I would say absolutely.
Yo,
let them
like
do it.
The United States is like the global Marines. If you need somebody kicked in the mouth,
then call us.
Just
pay us,
bro. We're dying to do it.
Pay
just
us, call us. Well,
like you can just pay us half. We got some junk we want to test out on some people.
Yeah.
But I think people talk about this all the time in the podcasting world about people who understand violence.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, I don't understand it from a militaristic point of view. I don't understand it from a law enforcement point of view, but I understand it from a male growing up in America. You got, bullying. I mean, dude, I have endless stories.
Oh, me too.
Up into my middle 20s.
All of us do.
Of as a male, you're
Except
learning your
Kennedys.
responsibility as the person who's going to physically protect a family. And whatever that looks like in our society, it just is what it is. Whether that's a fight in college or after school scraps or whatever, you're figuring out what your physical level is.
All of us are capable to kill.
Yeah.
All of us. All of us are capable of killing. And I posed that to my wife once she said she could never do that, and I said, well, what if someone's breaking in and the grandkids are here? We have guns, what if? What would you do? I mean, if some evildoer just got into your house, that's like, to me, that's the magic line. That's the deadline. You know what I'm saying? You cross that one, I don't think that anyone should be able to, I think you should be able to defend yourself by any means necessary if someone comes into your house. Do you agree with that?
Of course. Yeah.
Especially if your kids are there.
Well, I think that's one of those cornerstone pieces of democracy, bro.
Of course.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Did you save all those?
I did. Yeah, I've got one too.
I think I have one from the actual day too.
This is from the Tennessean. This was the 9/11 newspaper release right after it happened. It's the one that's got the firefighters putting up the flag in there, right?
No, I think I have that one too. Let's see. I got the September 14th.
I think it's in here.
14th. That's this one. Is that the one you're talking about?
No.
That's from the 13th.
They're on ground zero, and they're putting up a flag. It may be a couple days after this one.
Dude,
Dude, that's crazy. September 12th, 2001. Here it is. Right there on the top of the paper.
That's a really weird deal, bro. I don't mean from like some kind of conspiracy theory thing, but it was almost like blowing the lid off my childhood in a way. I mean, the United States, to me, growing up, was so ironclad, bro. I mean, you think about like we ruled the gymnastics scene. That's like all over.
Dude, you were 8.
Sports Illustrated. In what?
Wait a minute.
No, dude. I was in high school.
How old?
I was born in 83.
18.
Yeah.
Okay, so you were 18.
I was sitting in English class in high school. I'm not trying to go through that whole, where were you? Where were you when the world stopped turning?
I was,
Hey, dude, before I forget, I took my kids to New York City. I had my 2 oldest girls. We went to New York City. We went to Ground Zero. And, like, it's always been this thing for me, man. Like, I'm obsessed with it. I've watched a ton of documentaries about it. Did George Bush blow him up? Like all that, bro. I've read into all that stuff.
Right.
And we've talked before, I think, about that Falling Man documentary.
Oh.
And so anyway, I'm standing there with my oldest daughter. I'm holding her. She was like 3. And of course, she doesn't understand what it is. And there's all these names. And I said, look at all their names here. And she said, whose names are those? And I said, those are the people that either worked in this building or whatever, and I tried to describe it. And I said there were some evil people that flew some planes into these buildings, and there were 2 buildings that were this size right here, and they were as tall as these buildings over here. Actually, I think they had the new World Trade Center there too, so they were about that tall. And I said there were some evil people that flew some planes into this building, and these are the people that didn't get to go home to their families.
Mm.
And you know what she said to me? She goes, Dad, I would never do that.
I would hope not. Well, that's great.
She's like, I would never do that.
Yeah. And in her mind, that was hey, I just need to let you know, Dad.
Like, I get it. That seems real bad. Like, I don't know why some people would do. But, man, here...
That's a really...
I think it was shocking to me.
That would be humbling.
Because in the 80s and 90s, you really feel like the world's going to this place of... of like really true freedom of expression, free to make everything was centered around music for me. So you're seeing like the Woodstock stuff come back, and everything's like, it's our time and it's our bands, and they used to have concerts down by the river in Nashville, the River Stages stuff, and you could get in for like $7, and so the city's spending money on like the arts, and you could go do these things, and that's what we were focused on as a society. And it was fun to like go see the fireworks, and there's just such a community to it. And like now it's just so compartmentalized, and like, you're gonna get me sick, and are you a mask person or not, and all this sick. And man, I say it all the time, and I don't think I've said it on the podcast, but I really do believe that COVID and social media at the same time, it's just like this just like digital age Chernobyl, man. Like, we really don't know what to friggin' do with ourselves, and the algorithm is feeding you your crap and trying to get you scared or whatever, so you keep coming back and clicking. And we have to have our phones in our hands 24/7.
Well, isn't it changing more and more? I mean, isn't it advancing so much that we haven't made sense of it yet? Exactly what its purpose is? Maybe that's it.
I think our reach of information has gone far beyond our ability to like keep it all straight.
Yeah. We're not keeping up with.
It's like, wait, what am I supposed to be thinking about Afghanistan? Hold up. Let me get my dose from CNN and let them tell me what I'm supposed to think.
Exactly. That's my point. I think that it's advancing so much that we're not making sense of what we're not keeping up with its advancement. I don't know.
Yeah. And I think
we don't know its purpose yet.
I think life can be way more simple than we make it too. Like, realistically, life is exactly what you have in front of you right there at that moment. So if you're working your job and you're a fireman that day and you're making your money, like, like we were talking about earlier with the muscles and everything else, you're working to save money. Money equals whatever else it is that you want to do. Surfboards, travel, pay off your house.
Pole
dancing tournament at the Columbus, Ohio.
Yeah,
what the freak?
Absolutely.
You know what I'm saying? So you're storing up your financial battery so you can go out and do whatever it is that you enjoy. And then you realistically, as a 30-year-old person, you're trying to figure out where you are career-wise, setting in, okay, this is what I do for money. These are my hobbies. Like me and you both, we like to do a lot of physical stuff. So a lot of my time is figuring out how I can stay optimal, nutrition-wise, eating. And me and my wife dig that. And that's life. Raising your kids, seeing your grandkids dead in front of your face. When something big is happening, the reason the Afghanistan thing, and this is what we're leading into, I think, is talking about Afghanistan. The reason Afghanistan bothers me so much is that you see all those people that are in limbo, like, right or wrong, the Taliban, United States, you argue that out. Taliban guarantee they think they're right. The United States thinks they're right, and I'm not taking the Taliban side. What I'm saying is the situation is what it is right this second.
Yes.
But you have people that are in limbo. You have people that, help the United States government, but they're just stuck there.
Mm-hmm. Like,
what's the Taliban going to do for those people? There was a guy that was on MSNBC. I wish I knew his name. And he was saying, I've warned the federal government about this, and we could have helped these people 6 months ago, 3 months ago, 2 months ago. Like, we could be helping them now. We made promises to these people that we were going to help them. And I don't have any experience. I obviously, I wasn't a service member at all. I didn't go over there. So, I don't know. I don't really feel like I have the right to say much about it.
Sure you do.
But I want to say something about it from the perspective of, like, if free people just sit around and watch other people suffer, North Korea is a big problem for us, and I actually think it's a mousetrap. It's China's mousetrap for us, because it creates
1,000,000%.
It creates a conundrum for us, because you have people being oppressed and killed, which we can't stand. Even the screaming liberal left and the screaming far right, the church bangers and the pink hairs, like, they can't stand that either, bro. Nobody wants to see other people just getting killed.
Not.
We can't stomach that.
No.
So now you got all this information coming out. and has been, I think, for a while. I think we've known it's a big problem, but then they have nukes. So it's like, here's the mousetrap. Well, what do you do?
The bigger mousetrap is that they're so closely associated with China. China supports
of course.
them.
And I mean, I think there's similarities in Afghanistan, and that's about where my knowledge ends. Is that, you know, here we've been in conflict over there for forever,
and they've been in it forever before that.
And I don't really think the argument,
other places.
Like the argument for me, like I don't really like going to it's the industrial military complex and blah blah blah. It's like, okay, you know, just name drop some big concept that you can't describe anyway. I think as Americans, we need to continue to look at situations like Afghanistan, situations like Hong Kong, situations like North Korea, and be like, hey, man, that ain't cool.
Right.
You know, man, hey, you're going into political office. What do you think about what do you think about Afghanistan? What do you think about Hong Kong? I mean, we as people, I don't know where the line is, though, on where you draw your help. I mean, what do you think?
Man, it's another one of those multifaceted, complex things where a decision over here affects this over there. You have to be very careful about that decision, because when this is affected, then this one is too. You pull money from that, then it affects this one. But I need that one for this over there. I just think that's the whole point of negotiations. And when you talk about Democrats and Republicans, let's say, then they say that they finally had a bipartisan something, and they worked it out bipartisanly, that it's such a big deal, and that's the reason why. Because there's so much of that going on behind, because they're all trying to get something done, different priorities. You know, it's complicated.
Yeah.
I think I'm not making excuses for them. I think eventually in any sort of business, if you leave the area that you're in, or maybe you're on top and you can make decisions, I think that it's so easy to be corrupted. I mean, I hate to do this, but I got to do it. If truly, I really mean this, and I'm not being a liberal or Republican or Democrat or conservative when I say this, but if people look to Nancy Pelosi to solve their problems, they're already in a really bad spot. Really bad. Or Donald
crazy.
Trump.
Yeah, bro.
Any of them.
Okay, let's just...
You know what I'm saying?
Bro, she looks nuts.
She's just...
Does she not look crazy? Like a China doll.
But here's the thing. Here's the one thing you got to give to her. Dude, she did it, man. She runs all of it. She's got her hands in everything. How did she do that? She looks like this feeble little grandmother, doesn't she? I know she hasn't always been that way, but dude, she is a boss. She really is. You can't deny that.
No, I agree.
And there's so much that's going on behind the scenes, but dude, if anybody's putting any kind of trust in her to solve their problems, they're already in a bad spot. They're already in the wrong place. That's the bigger point. I don't know.
No, I agree. I think that ties in with what I'm saying about us as individuals, man. I mean, I think as an American, you have a responsibility, I believe, to understand your place, you know, to understand like, okay, this is my piece of this big wheel. And if you see someone else that's being treated unfairly, I mean, bro, it's the same reason why we would like hold a door for somebody. Like
sure.
That's supposed to be like hyper aggressive male dominance or something now to hold a door for somebody. But it's like, nah, dude, I had people hold doors for my mom and my grandma. I'm just trying to be that person, man. Mm-hmm. Like I got a buddy of mine, Tiger. He said he was out East Tennessee. He stopped at a gas station. I think he's riding his motorcycles or something. He just held a door for a lady at a gas station. She was like, "Oh my goodness, y'all do that here?" And he was just like,
"It didn't even make."
Yeah, he's like, "I just do that."
Yeah, it's a reaction at this point.
Yeah, hey, you go first, man. Just go ahead.
It's a reaction.
It is nice to be nice.
When I open the door to go out, I look real quick to make sure it's not somebody behind me.
Dude, you know where people are actually kind of nice? No joke. New York City.
Everywhere they are.
I think you're onto something too, man. Yeah.
They just are, man. Because we have kids. We raise kids.
Civil people.
We check on our neighbors. Yeah. I mean, that's what most people do.
And I think some people would call that kind of stuff white privilege, and I'm not really trying to get in the racist stuff because that's so touchy at this point, and evidently as two white people, we can't talk about it. So, but I think, man, that I think most people, regardless of your skin color, upbringing, whatever, like if you've just been raised in America, somebody has had to be nice to you, and that is always a better interaction than a negative interaction. Like nobody really wants to just be fighting and in conflict. You'd really rather be hanging out with your friends or people that you just jive with.
Right.
But the deal is that most of us want to be that way, just generally speaking. Mm-hmm. You know, like you have weird adult interactions where it's like, hey, I see you all the time and you see me, but we've never really talked. And that's weird. But like when you really just talk to people or just take the time to, hey, man, what's up?
Of course.
It's so, dude, that's what's dope about Jiu Jitsu or like the gym. You know, that's what people get into like in churches or any kind of social group. That's what you're getting.
Absolutely.
It's like, hey, man.
And dude, we're becoming... I'm sorry.
Oh, no, go ahead.
We're becoming more and more detached from all of that.
I hope I didn't look mad. Like,
you're hitting on it right there, is that we're making judgment calls based on what someone looks like. It's the epitome of racism. It's epitome of all of this antisocial ideas, is to look at someone and make a judgment right away. We're not supposed to be doing that.
Dude.
You know, you need to talk to somebody. There's a really good, you're going to find out who this person is when you talk to them.
You know, most people are peeled out or got some sort of problem.
Well, I'm saying like
I'm saying, but everybody's got crap.
But
like nobody's perfect.
Everybody is, yes. Everybody's family's got a crazy person in it. Everybody's got issues. People go through depression. People go through eating disorders, whatever.
So like basically anybody on either like the far right or the far left side.
Or race or religion, it doesn't matter.
Yeah, pink, purple, I don't care. But anyone who's trying to make everyone else fit in this perfect box of perfect behavior and perfect language or whatever, like, bro, get bent.
Yeah, truly.
Like that is so it's whack.
It's truly. Yeah, truly.
And so everything that we just described, that is what it really, from two Americans, that is what it really feels like to me to be American. Mm-hmm. You know, I want to love my wife. I want to make sure we have food here for my kids. I want to do the job that I've signed up to do. If I get tired of that job, guess what? You go get another one. Mm-hmm. Hey, and if there's another job you want to do, bro, hey, bro, if there's another job you want to do and you don't know how to do it, guess what we got here?
Yeah.
School.
Yeah.
And you can go learn. And people will teach you for like $9.95 a month or whatever.
Especially trade schools, which aren't being used anymore.
Yeah, dude. And we do a lot of cool stuff. And so to like see this big black eye now of Afghanistan, it just bothers me, man.
Well, and the same desires, all of that's happening in Afghanistan right now. Probably fear-laced, of course, right now.
So what's the problem? Like, what's your understanding? I mean, do you spend some time there or no?
I did. And it wasn't a lot of time, but it was enough time to understand that, first of all, infrastructure. Well, the places that I was, the infrastructure is not even...
People going to complain you're picking your feet.
Oh, I'm not picking them. I'm just holding them.
Yeah, there's people out there, bro, that will complain about our bare feet picking.
Seriously?
No.
Well, they're not even socks, they're slippers, just for everyone to know.
While we're talking about socks.
There's old man grip on the bottom so I don't slide and fall. It's a hardwood floor.
I got them last time I was in the hospital.
Yeah.
I just took them with me.
They recommend
it. They let you just have them? They're a little big around the ankles.
Yeah. But and I'm no expert, but I have been there and I've met the people and that sort of thing. I can promise you, I really can promise you that they want the same stuff we want, the basic stuff. They want running water and to be able to go to a doctor and feed their kids. Nobody's wanting anything really more than that. I mean, we all want the nice cars and all that, but that's not it. I mean,
you think that our understanding of that now at a basic level, that as a world, man, we should be trying to make sure everybody has clean water, food. It's the tribalism, man. It's still all that. And I'm not trying to sound like some kind of anti-borders person or any of that. What I'm saying is when people really buy into nationalism And I will say this though, man, I do think there's a difference though between nationalism in the United States and other places, because in the United States, the nationalism part for me is exactly what I just described, is that flag right there doesn't necessarily, it represents our borders and our states and all that. But I also think it represents one of the greatest experiments in human history.
Oh, yeah.
And I think the writers of the Constitution, Declaration of Independence, they would all agree with that. You know, they were pulling from other things too, other, you know, different experiments in government or, you know, what have you, or Christianity or whatever. It's what they knew at the time, and they were pulling all the best. And I think it's been a really good experiment. Like, yeah, we do have the ability to change this stuff is what's crazy. Like, we spend all our time arguing. Basically what it is a glorified mud bath, like just a mud fight. And then people make money off that, and it's disgusting. But what we truly have still, though, is all those promises that they can't take from us. Freedom of speech, you know, the pursuit of happiness.
America's awesome.
Like, if you got accused of shooting somebody in the face, like, they still have to prove you did it.
Right.
And, you know what I mean? You can't just haul you off. Now, people would point out these little examples of how the police do this, or they'll plant evidence or what. Okay,
I'm sure there's examples.
People are people.
Sure.
People, you know, you have good ones and you have bad ones. I'm just to the point, bro, where I'm trying to hang out with people and be cool with people that are nice, positive people that are heading in some sort of positive direction. And I think when you really start looking at the people you surround yourself with, if there's people dragging you down that are negative, figure that out.
Yeah.
If there's people that are positive, vibe from them, you know? I mean, but anyway, man, the reason I think nationalism for the United States is different is because for a long time, and the way I felt about America as a kid, and I've always had this big tie to the American flag too, is like, it is that beacon of freedom. Like, we literally have given anybody trying to tell us what to do a middle finger. That's what America is.
True.
And you just can't oppress other people, though.
Yeah. Well,
you just got to vibe.
It's the only place that, as far as I understand, I mean, maybe there is other examples, I doubt it, but that started free from the very beginning. That didn't start from an overthrown dictatorship and become democracy. That it's been free. I don't know that there's anybody.
I've never thought about it from that perspective.
Either a democracy or a dictatorship or a monarchy throughout human history, we've had that.
But I mean, I guess even we would have too, though, because we were under British rule.
Well, yeah, but as far as,
but we told them to go.
Yeah,
go
once
jump.
once 1776, we made it our own, and we've
bring your guns and boats and see what happens.
And there's nothing about this place that's perfect, nothing at all. But
it's almost the imperfection too that makes it so cool. So think about the 90s and the 80s, like the way people viewed skateboarding and all of that. And it was just this, bro, I'm telling you, man, that's one of the coolest groups of people that's ever existed, because you have Tony Hawk now, and he's like showing up at the X Games, and he's, you know, there to represent what skateboarding has become and the accomplishments that he had. And like, there's a kid that's like 12, 13 years old hitting like a 1080.
Yeah.
And he hit a 900, and it was a big, you know.
Yeah.
And so they really stick together. They really promote, and the progression, like to just give these kids freedom. Hey man, you guys can do some wild stuff here. How can we help you? They build them all these airbags and bigger jumps. And then Travis Pastrana, do you know who he is?
Yes.
So Travis Pastrana builds Pastrana Land. And
you know he died the other day.
No, he didn't.
Just kidding.
But yeah, so he builds that, and it's like they always support the up and coming people. Mm-hmm. And then it's perfect too for social media, because you can show some crazy trick they just did, and it's really good content.
Well, don't you also keep the discipline alive?
Yeah, but I mean, we basically made it up. I mean, we didn't make up skateboarding, but I mean, it grew here. Mm. Like, think about the things that just kind of come here. Like, if, I don't know, the first thing that popped in my head was hacky sack, but then I was thinking hacky sack was never big. That was just those kids in middle school that like smoked pot.
Everybody was doing it. Yeah. I don't understand that one either, by the way. I'm glad you brought that up. Just 1 second. It was very athletic to do that. But it was the least athletic people in school that did it. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
I mean, think about the athletic ability that you had to
There's
have
a lot
to
of
do
soccer
that.
kids, though.
Yeah.
A lot of soccer kids.
But it was, you're right, that they smoked. The ones that smoked. And they weren't athletic, but they were able to do it.
Out there in their Jinkos and airwalks.
I mean, seriously.
And vans.
Seriously, who do you know that was supremely athletic through school who smoked all the time? They just didn't. Like, that was a different group.
I didn't really know a lot of people that smoked, though, man.
I didn't either. Not in school. I do now.
Do you know a lot of people our age that smoke?
Oh, yeah. For sure.
I still feel like it's less, though, than the generation before. Like, I feel like our...
You think?
Yeah. I'm only saying that, too, though, man, because I mean, I had family members that smoked, and you see them do it, and then you're like, I don't want to do that. Cigarettes, specifically.
Oh, I thought you meant weed.
No, I'm talking about cigarettes. Yeah, man.
I was talking about weed.
My grandmama used to roll up tight bunts.
No, I'm talking about
and
the
she'd
weed
go sit out on the porch in a Rubbermaid chair.
I'm talking about the weed smokers in school. They were the ones
I didn't really know a lot of people that smoked pot either. Maybe I just didn't know.
Yeah, that's what I mean. I didn't know.
I really didn't have.
I knew a lot of people that smoked cigarettes, though. I'm talking about the ones that smoked weed in school. Like, that was a group.
Yeah, I just didn't know people that smoked weed. I really didn't know people that smoked weed.
I did. That was just that was a group. Jocks were a group.
I mean, I can think of like one or two like trash kids.
Yeah.
That like would smell like weed.
Yeah.
But I never, I don't know, man. Maybe I wasn't paying attention to that. I didn't have a big exposure to that.
That was the music scene, man. The music people. Nirvana, especially. Jeez, dude.
So you're saying that everybody that listened to Nirvana in the 1990s that was in middle school at that time was smoking pot?
81%.
Yeah.
At least.
For sure.
And eating bad. You know.
Dude, you remember No Doubt?
Their moms were never home.
I feel like everybody in 8th grade, which would have been how old are you in 8th grade?
8th grade. So it's the grade plus 5, right?
It's 13.
I would have been
like 13. Yeah. So like I felt like everybody at that age, that was about the same time that No Doubt was coming out with their like I'm Just a Girl.
Oh, yeah.
I'm Just a Girl. That album, Tragic Kingdom.
I even liked her.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Her. It's a
No
band.
Doubt.
No Doubt's a band. But
Gwen
yeah.
Stefani. Dude, I loved her.
That's offensive, man.
Who didn't like her?
I thought she was cool. I thought that band was cool.
Yeah. It seemed like, to me, that band was the in-between of like pop and something cool. I don't know. It was cool.
Dude, it's kind of Fleetwood Mac-ish too, because she dated like I think everybody in that band, right? I don't know that that's true, but I do know that there's a guy that is in that band. Is he like the bass player or something?
He was the singer, I thought.
Singer?
Mm-hmm.
Like
that she ended up with, the one that she was in a relationship with?
No, that was the dude from Bush.
No.
Gavin Rossdale.
Yes. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Well, didn't she have somebody that was
she
in
was
the
in
band that she was with? Like in a relationship.
Yeah, I want to say the black dude, but he's not black.
Yeah. I thought he was the...
he was like the bass player, dude.
Maybe he was. But dude, she had it together, man. Everybody. I liked Gwen Stefani.
She's aged really well.
Mm-hmm.
What's up with that? Like, how do some people do that?
I don't know, man. I don't think
plastic surgery.
No, I don't think it has anything to do with what you eat. I think it's just your attitude. Generally speaking, people that are positive live longer. Don't you think?
Yeah. I mean, probably some of that is it
makes sense.
If you're happy, it's naturally going against like anxiety.
Dude, have you seen William Shatner?
No, I don't jack with William Shatner.
Dude, look at a picture of William Shatner. That dude does not age. I mean, he doesn't.
Was he on that Rescue 911? Bro, did you watch that show when you were a kid?
I don't remember. But anyway.
All right.
How old is she?
Gwen Stefani?
You keep doing that.
Gwen Stefani is 51 years old. She was born in 1969. Hold up. July 16th, 1969. She was born on October 3rd, 69.
Huh.
So Gwen Stefani in this newspaper right here, she looks better than the newspaper, bro.
My first bodybuilding contest was October 3rd, 1994.
October 3rd, 94.
I'm going to do a refill.
Go ahead. I'm going to look up the guy's name. She was in a relationship with Gavin Rosdale. She married him 2002. They divorced in 2016.
Wow, they were together for a long time.
Yep.
I don't know what I'm sounding like in the mic, though.
Yeah, he's straight for that. I think it is better with him. We've never tried it without, though. So I looked his name up. It's Tony, I guess you pronounce it Canal, Kanal. Says they were together from 87 to 94. It's probably she met Gavin, baby.
So what was it, K-Anal?
Tony K. Anal.
I would hate that name.
I'm sure he's never heard that joke either.
Oh.
Hey, man, you Tony K. Anal?
Yeah, what does the K stand for? Now, about that Afghanistan thing that we were talking about, honestly, in my humble opinion, I don't think that we should have been there after George Bush left office. At that point, we would have had 8 years involvement in Afghanistan. We should have... I'm not blaming him. I'm sure that there was a lot of things behind the scenes that were going on, and we were nation building and the whole thing. I think, personally, I think we need to get out of that business. It's not working out. It didn't work in Vietnam. It didn't work there. We're not... Especially when you put the U.S. military into it, to nation build. I mean, it's kind of like what we're expecting cops to do, to be essentially daycares, maybe. Like they go to schools. They're the SROs in the schools. Like they're supposed to counsel. They're supposed to learn to counsel. No, dude, they're supposed to break down a door and get a knife out of somebody's hand that's trying to kill people or something, And that's the way the military should be. We should not be nation building. And I'm thankful for anyone and everyone that has served and done that purpose. I guess I can say this because, I was in Iraq for a while, and I've been to Afghanistan, hopped around to different places long enough to know that it's just, man, it's just a different place. It's not anything more than the culture. You can go to Japan and you'll have a total different culture than you will in Australia or America or whatever.
Well, to them in Afghanistan, it would seem like people are just always trying to come there and conquer them.
Exactly. And people...
the Russians, the Americans.
There's so many people that are in rural areas that have no connection to information at all and didn't even know that September 11th even happened. They still don't. They're just finding this stuff out. So it's not... When people talk about the nation of Afghanistan, it's not really. I mean, there are a lot of people that can consider it a failed state anyway. I think that we're proving that. The big protector has left the playground. The little guy is on the playground, and here comes the bully. So he's going to be friends with him. It's always going to be that way. That's just my opinion. I don't know. What do I know?
I definitely think you'd be hard pressed to say that the Taliban isn't bad. I think there's noble pieces to it that we were trying to do. You can talk about false pretenses. There's a million different angles. But I was thinking about it the other day, and I was like, okay, if I was president of the United States, or if I was running for president of the United States, like, what would I do? Like, let me put myself in those shoes for a second.
Truly, would you want to do that job? Even for a month?
Yeah, I'd do it.
For a month?
No, I'd do it. Like
4 years?
Yeah, and run again. Like, I just think it'd be rad. Like, almost like in a way that, the way I see it with Donald Trump. Like, I don't think that dude really ever thought he'd win. So, to me, it'd be like me going, yeah, dude, I'd run for president. Like, how old you got to be? I'm 37. All I got to do is just pick a running mate. Okay, cool. And then I'm running for president. And then what if somebody took it as a joke, started a site, and then all of a sudden, like, I'm legit in it? It would be hilarious. It'd be so hilarious. And this is what I would do. If I was president, bro, I would podcast every day. And I'd be like, what are y'all talking about?
That's what Obama's doing. I mean, I know he's
with
not
the Bruce Springsteen thing.
Mm-hmm.
But what I'm saying is, like, I would almost try to change the game so much. It would feel like the most American thing to me to just, no, I'm not doing what y'all wanted me to do.
But dude, do you realize the things that you say? God, you have to be so careful.
But I think it's just because
it could cost lives, man.
Of course. I'm not saying it in some kind of frivolous, like I would just tear it down, like I would just make fun of it. I would do that too. Not tear it down, but make fun of it. Like I would, like, just show up to a press conference like in shorts and purple socks.
I would too. That stuff I would do.
Like I would just be like, dude, I'm not wearing a suit every day. Right. Nobody wears a suit every day.
Nobody does.
Yes.
Yeah. Like I'm still an American. I can still vote. I'm gonna wear shorts.
Like I would dress the way most people dress.
I wear shorts in the winter.
I would wear a belt and a t-shirt.
Would you? I wouldn't. I'd wear elastic band shorts, man, and tennis shoes. My Sauconys. I got those black ones with the white soles.
Show up to a press conference in a Dallas Cowboys hat.
Look, guys, I don't have much time. I got to get to the gym's back day. What you got?
Like,
you know?
Like you send your little groupie out there to like, hey guys, the president's not coming out today. And then you come out, psych! Like you just come. Like,
yeah.
Yeah, we're not talking about that today, man. Did y'all see the game last night? Like, you just are real.
Yeah.
Now, I mean, I think there's a seriousness to it, obviously, man, but I think it's just gotten to be such a joke at this point, bro. Like, nobody trusts it. And really, it's a circus to me around the media. They've almost made it that disgusting, you know? I mean, in our lifetime, we've seen some pretty cool presidents. Psych!
Well, the coolest, who is it?
Like that what do you mean?
Just in our
lifetime?
Overall personality, not necessarily achievements, I guess, because I got one for that one. But, dude,
if I could sit at
I think honestly, man, overall, my humble opinion, and I'm going to really upset some people out there probably, but the two, it's almost a tie between Reagan and Obama. It really is. Just them as men.
As people.
Yeah.
Like they knew who they were.
Yes.
Yeah.
Very much so. And
I'm just trying to get it in.
Man, they were just so, to me, like if you look at Clinton, just the scandals
he's
and all that.
Bro.
He's just,
please don't kill me. Don't.
So not.
Yo, if I disappear, come back and show them this clip right here.
I think that he would do anything for a vote and say anything for a vote. I think
there's a lot of people like that too, man.
I do.
I think a lot of them are like that.
I do, but honestly, man, I really do. I think that Reagan, and all of them are guilty, don't get me wrong. All of them are guilty. All right? But I think Reagan and Obama particularly had a little bit more of, I'm just going to say what I want. And the same thing can be said about Trump too, magnificently, for sure, that he could say what he wanted and, you know, that kind of thing. But I think that he just had that aura of non-presidential. That's just me. I just didn't see it.
Who, Trump?
Trump. He got a lot of stuff done. He was
stately. He was not stately at all.
And actually, that's a really good example. That's what I'm talking about. That's what I'm looking at as far as a presidency is who had it in my lifetime. And I would say between those two, Reagan and Obama.
Like the one thing that he did do successfully, though, like him or hate him, is he really cut through a lot of the crap.
Oh, like, yes.
You know, he
treated it like a business.
Like
man.
George W. Bush was quite the opposite of that.
Yes.
He was out there just saying whatever, and you're like, dude, I don't even... You were listening for any just like little sprinkle of truth. You didn't believe a thing he said.
I like H, but
we'll tell you when we find out and all that.
He was a politician.
Yeah. And, you know, his dad was probably one of the most powerful people in our lifetime.
For a long
time. Head of the CIA, then he was president, he was a vice president.
He was literally a hero.
Yeah.
Like that dude was a badass, you know, and but he was a politician and he could swear to America there'd be no new taxes, and then he raised them within the same year, and that's a big old gap.
Do you remember when presidents would like run on all this stuff and then they would do none of it? Like the one thing you can say for Trump too, though, man, is that if like he did all of that stuff he said he was going to do, or at least tried, to the point where he would hit some sort of wall, figuratively and literally. You know what I mean? And
of course.
So,
but when it comes to,
but I think Obama did some of that too. Like he didn't get all of his stuff done, and I think Obama fought a lot. Like it wasn't racism or whatever. He just really contrasted heavily to the mindset of Republicans at the time. Like he was pretty left of center in the Democratic Party anyway.
Yeah,
like he said, he wasn't hiding it. I don't think. I think there was a lot of projection going on of what he was.
I don't think that people would agree with him. And I know that he was the president before the last, but I don't think that the progressives would agree with him right now. If he was president, I think they would not necessarily revolt.
Like you think they are even farther left than he was?
Yes,
is that what you're saying? Yeah.
Now, and I don't think it takes very long to do that. I think that he's actually outspoken against the woke generation.
But man, here's the one thing to always keep in mind about the left, and this is what I keep my mind open to, is maybe some of the things that really motivate them, that they are intelligent on, might be worth listening to them on. For instance, I'm not a scientist. And I'm not trying to talk about global warming, but I don't know.
Do it, man.
Maybe there are things that we could do better. Like maybe there really are. Like maybe
this is so funny you're saying.
Like
this.
Maybe we could reuse things better, and there's better practices. So with like AOC and those crazy people, there are people that they would call crazy. Like their proposals are whack, but the idea of, hey man, we need to keep our environment clean is not a bad idea.
Of course not. I think that we can meet in the middle somewhere. If you were in a room, we could meet in the middle. But if we were on some sort of social media platform, if we were doing this right here and she was here,
but if she was here, she would continue to talk through this pre-pro. It's almost like a friggin' mental illness with those people.
Yes.
It's like you can be so sewn into a spot in your life that you hold on to it with everything you have, whether it's right or wrong. And I think that those politicians would be that way.
Here's my theory.
You can't have a real
This one fires me up, I really do mean this when I say this. And again, I'm a conservative thinker. I'm not a Republican, but I am a conservative thinker. There's a lot of progressive ideas that I have too, which kind of puts me in a unique place maybe. I don't know. I think you're a lot the same way. But anyway, nature put oil under the ground. It stored it away. Over millions and millions of years, it stored oil and coal, which are full of CO2, right? Well, NCO. But it put it under the ground and it stored it away safely. And over the past 120, 30 years, we've been digging it out of the ground and burning it. It's probably not a good idea. Overall, for the health of the environment, when we talk about the environment, we're really not even talking about the environment. What we're talking about is the atmosphere. Because that amount of carbon goes into the atmosphere and stays there. And it collects heat. So
allegedly.
Yeah. But it does, and then it collects sunlight. It's very simple. It's a heavy particle and it collects sunlight and it heats. It heats up. So overall, just generally speaking, I don't think it's a good idea for us to be pulling this out of the ground and burning it. There's got to be a better way.
Okay, but if you think about the progression of humans.
Yes, I know. Then you got to give it credit.
We used to cut down trees. Like we'd go out there. Think about how long it takes one of these trees out here to grow.
But that's renewable.
But it's not renewable at the pace that we would have needed to heat a whole home.
It is when you have 20,000 acres devoted to that. Yeah, in your backyard, no. But when you have 20,000 acres and you spread that around.
But I think the flaw in what you're saying, is that the population has expanded to the point where how many trees would you have to cut down to heat every apartment burning wood in New York City?
27.
But you get what I mean?
Week.
So, but then if you do it through natural gas or something else that there is more of an abundance of. Now, natural gas isn't renewable. I mean, maybe my understanding is wrong, but I agree with what you're saying. So now we've used gas and we've used oil to get to this point.
And coal.
And a lot of our electricity is still coal.
Especially in the Tennessee Valley. A lot of it is. We don't have like out west, they got these big dams that use turbine generation. We've got coal burning plants.
I mean, we still have all the TVA, like the dams.
Mm-hmm. But East Tennessee and places like, I don't know that we have them around here.
I don't know anything about TVA.
I don't know. I see these signs like water shelter. You're entering in Duck River water shelter. What does that even mean?
All I know is everywhere I drive in Tennessee, there seems to be plenty of water. We don't really worry about it here.
We're doing okay. Yeah,
it's really not a bad place to live, dude, because we don't really have we don't have any threat from hurricanes. We're far enough in.
Tornadoes sometimes.
Tornadoes will rip you a new one.
Yeah. But outside of that, zero racism.
I mean, zero racism.
None. Zero hunger.
Ever.
All that stuff.
Kids all make straight A's.
People laugh every day.
Do you know that no one ever cuts you off on the interstate here?
No one. Dude, I remember back in 67 I got cut off, and that was it because of the new laws.
That's the last time I ever got cut off. Yeah.
Yeah.
Hey,
My dad still talks about it.
I'll say this about Tennessee drivers, though. Outside of Memphis is a drag race, dude. Memphis is aggressive. It's a really cool place. I'm really glad I got a chance to live there. But Nashville...
It trains you as a driver.
Bro, you do not put your blinker on in Memphis.
Right.
They will cut you off. I would cut you off if I'm driving in Memphis. You put your blinker on, I'm blocking you, dude, if I'm in Memphis.
I had to drive a 20-foot trailer every week with my other job to downtown Memphis to
my other job. Other job.
I can't remember the name of it, but it was this big place downtown with this 20-foot trailer and pick up equipment and drop off equipment and cocaine, and then drive back cocaine. Every day. I had to, you had to just drive back. And for those of you who don't know, that's about 3.5-4 hours from here.
It's a very lonely drive.
Yeah.
It's two lanes both sides.
It's literally everything is countryside and just, I don't know.
The only thing
highway.
The only thing between Nashville and Memphis is Jackson. That's about 2 hours away.
Yeah, Jackson. Yeah, I keep forgetting about Jackson. But yeah, but once you go into, it's all the sudden
the Loretta Lynn Ranch or whatever that is.
Yeah,
you got the Tennessee River. There's a prison out there somewhere.
Yeah, what's the one? The Chattahoochee, right? Or is that south? I can't remember.
That's the Tennessee River. When you're going west on 40, that's the Tennessee River.
Huge river.
The Tennessee River is about where all the radio stations cut off in Nashville.
Yeah.
I think it's like exit 144.
That's okay. I don't even listen to that anymore. I don't watch TV. I don't do any
Does anybody listen to radio anymore?
No,
dude,
man.
I don't know who watches the news like on TV. Do people do that?
I hope not.
Besides my grandmother?
I hope they stop. I want it to go out of business.
It will.
People talk about the big industry.
Look at newspapers.
They're in there, man.
The newspapers used to be like some of the biggest news sources in America.
Do you know why Joe Rogan is popular?
I do know why Joe Rogan.
People listen to him.
It's just general. It's rational conversation.
You can have CNN with all these different programs that they've got, and Fox. They got all these different programs that they've got on these channels on their network, but they have to fill spots. A lot of people don't listen to all of them or watch all of them. Well, what if they were individual podcasts? If you did that, then you would find one that you really liked, and then this one over here would just die off. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Because it's not like popular. People don't listen.
I think if he started being whack now, like if he just was like real salesy about stuff or just wasn't himself and like really sold out for the money, and it became like, one thing that he's always done well is the commercials. Like there's not really a lot of commercialization to it. Like when it's on Spotify now, you have the commercials. I mean, whatever. But it's not like super annoying.
No, it's not evasive.
Yeah, and
in your face.
And he's talking to people with just like a general curiosity, a real, genuine curiosity.
Absolutely.
And I think that he's recognizing people who, like he talks about it all the time, like people whose signal needs amped up, like the chick from North Korea. I mean, dude, that should be national news. It should be an absolute travesty in every single person in this country's mind.
You know, the only reason it's not, because there is controversy of whether or not I've done a little bit of reading too.
That she's telling the truth?
Yeah. Yeah, and Andrew Schultz even brought it up, saying that, that was probably North Korea putting that out there to make her look bad. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Which makes sense.
I mean, I guess I could see it both ways.
That's like a black op for them. Misinformation, info war, whatever.
I don't know.
You would be president, though, for a month?
Yeah, I'd do it. I really would.
More for the 4 years?
Yep. I think it'd be killer.
Dude, everything
I'd have the nice
about
little
you
presidential
would be out
family,
there.
too.
Everything would be out there.
But it could be. Like, I'm not scared of anything.
Yeah, but your son is a baby. He bites.
He's a biter.
He did bite me last time.
Right-wing politician's son is a biter.
I mean, especially if they didn't like you, they'd put it out there.
So let's say God came to me in a dream. Let's say God came to me and he said, Craig, I want you to be president. And I'd be like, really? Like, it seems crazy. Like, I'm sure there's a ton of it that is way outside of my perspective at this point. Do you get what I'm saying?
Sure.
But I think really what we lack in there is just someone who's just rationally thinking. Like, these are such big, complex problems that you look at somewhere like Afghanistan and you think, that's a big mess. Okay, let's just, where are we in the process? Okay, we really don't need to be there. Here's the problems, but we got these people there, and then you just have to start making decisions. You know, like, I don't think anybody's knocking on the fact that Joe Biden made a decision. I think it's just that we see some area in between making that decision where we could have like lessened the impact. It's made me question whether or not there was some other intelligence they had. Like maybe the Taliban's already cruising in, and then they think, okay, well, it's going to be really bad optics if the Taliban, like maybe the Taliban straight up told them, like, bro, we're coming. Like, we're going to see whether y'all got it. I don't know. I'm just making that up. But
it's very
you
simple.
have to start making decisions, and I think that is probably the hardest part of that job, is that ultimately the buck is going to stop with you. Like, you really have to, trust your intelligence people that are there, and you got to have the right people around you. I mean, that's got to be wild. I mean, it's got to be a wild scene. But
yeah.
But I would almost feel like at this point, man, I mean, if that opportunity was presented to me and I'm an American, I don't know why the cards fell that way, but it's almost my duty to, okay, I think I understand freedom. I think I understand, what it means to be a free person, and I value that almost above my own life. Like I value the idea that my daughters and my son and my wife and then anybody after that in my family get to continue on at least in the state that I'm in or better.
I think in a no joke kind of way too. I think that you need to have the ability and an understanding of being comfortable with being uncomfortable. You have to have that. I think that that's a quality of spirit, honestly. Physically being comfortable with being uncomfortable, emotionally, I think that would play a part. I think you need to be able to relate to people.
You know what Obama did?
That's a big one.
You know what Obama did well, and you just reminded me saying it. And I think this is what Trump did.
He did well aging. You seen that dude? He does not. I mean,
he plays basketball, man.
Yeah, and his hair is gray, but I mean,
I think person to person, he's probably a really cool dude. Now, if you could get him to be just his genuine self and not having to put on the politics of everything, because he's going to have to continue to do that the rest of his life.
Oh, of course, he's a politician. I mean,
But I mean, what I really did appreciate about him is he would kind of know when to be stately and then when to kind of let it go a little bit.
You saw him on that Zach Galifianakis thing, right? Between Two Ferns.
Yeah, and he had like some YouTube guys that would come in. And he had like 4 or 5 YouTube stars at the time come in and interview him. Like he was trying to stay with the times, is what I'm saying.
Yeah,
it wasn't just
he was hip. I mean,
yeah,
he was.
Yeah,
and there's been other presidents like that,
but it's still a serious job.
Mm-hmm.
And
crazy serious. Little things that you say, man. Do you remember? I don't know if you remember. You're probably too young, but
that was really my point, though, is to know when to just take it on the chin. Like George W. Bush just took it on the chin all the time.
All the time.
And he would never, like, you just like, dude, like tell him off, bro. Come on. Just one time tell him shut up.
But at least...
But he wouldn't.
But Trump wouldn't.
Oh,
he would cuss him out in front of a
she's
press
fat.
conference. Yeah.
She's fat or whatever.
And I don't know that worked for him, though. I love the fact that dude said what was on his mind. I love that. Dude, as far as even from an aspect of comedy, it's hilarious. I love it. But you can say the same. W took a lot of bullcrap, and he never said a word. He just stayed president.
There's a lot of people that didn't like him, man.
I know, and that was kind of
didn't
the start.
Trust him.
Yeah, but you had like H, for instance, his dad. He mentioned once there was some sort of conversation that he had with somebody about not liking broccoli. I don't even know if you remember that, but people revolted, man, saying that that's going to hurt the school system because we're feeding broccoli. Now these kids don't want to eat broccoli. Then broccoli growers said, well, what about what we're trying to do? We're trying to keep broccoli alive. Are you going to cut off our agricultural subsidies? You know, him just making a joke. So I think for that reason alone, it just wouldn't work out for me. I would not be a beloved president. I think that job is way harder than people give credit. I think I would be another Trump in the sense that I would just say something, not thinking anything stately or presidential, and it would ruin me. And I would walk away embarrassed. And
yeah, but how much of that, like, it ruined me is on that person? So, like in Trump's particular case, he was a little bulletproof to stuff like that. And part of it was just because he wouldn't give into it. He's just like, whatever.
Well, yeah, but mostly he was an entertainer too. I mean, he always had that in the back of his mind. I mean, let's face it. I don't know that he even believed half the stuff that he was saying.
But when you say ruin, I mean, there are people out there, intern level intelligence people, who are just trying to get some sort of glimpse of a career or whatever in these news organizations, like doing all this gotcha reporting, and like they'll take just like one tweet or so-and-so said this.
Kevin Hart, when he said something, he made a joke about his son being gay once, and then he couldn't host the Oscars. Kevin Hart. They say he's probably the most honest and most lovable guy in all of Hollywood, and he was not allowed to host the Oscars because of something he said years before.
I just don't even put any of that in my mind anymore, man. I give zero space to any of that woke cancel culture stuff. I've just had it. And really, we had a conversation about, millennial versus like Gen X, and I got to thinking about like that conversation, and I don't know, man. I just refuse to let that be a part of my life anymore. I don't care. I mean, I don't see it coming for me anytime soon, but if it does, I don't care. Dude, I just don't care.
I love what you've got. I love it.
It's fun, man.
I'm so glad you're doing this, man. It gives me hope because of my pole dancing career after the fire department.
Yeah, we've been one of the things me and you've been working on too is like reaching out to other people and possibly getting...
You picked up on the joke, right?
No, I didn't pick up on your joke.
Pole dancing.
Oh, yeah. Again.
After the fire department. Sorry.
Yeah, but anyway, I mean, yeah, we'll see where it goes, man. I mean, I really enjoy our conversations, and it helps me a ton. And
Well, that and the records, man.
Oh.
The record business you got.
Yeah.
You're in the music industry. Do you realize that? You are.
Dude, there's a lot
You're in a niche market, but you're in the music industry.
Yeah. I really dig it too, man. And what's funny about it, I keep saying we've talked about this before, but
I'm sorry to interrupt.
Go ahead.
But I want you to realize this. It's the first time I've ever presented it to you this way. But you are in the music industry.
Yeah.
This is very much like this is a real desire.
I wish some of these people that we're reaching out to like come talk to us would realize that.
We're gonna get them, man.
Yeah. So the truth is, what I really, really envision and what I really want to do. There's some people that are, I'm not even gonna say their names because they may never come on, but like there's some close attachments to some people that were in and around different famous people throughout Nashville. I mean, my grandfather, man, he used to work on Marty Robbins' car.
Really?
Yeah, like I got shirts upstairs and stuff from, like I'm really realizing now how intertwined my family was within Nashville. Like, I mean, my grandfather was a fireman. His dad was a fireman. My grandfather's brother was a fireman. Like, my dad's a fireman. My brother's a fireman in Nashville, Metro fireman. And then I can remember standing on the 4th of July with my dad. My dad was on duty, and he was at a fire hall that was down really in Germantown. It was one of those, like, old, it was a tins, but it was an old house, like, fire hall, you know, with a little bitty one door. Yeah. And it's like, it was really cool. I think it's probably like a law office or something now. So he takes us to the end of, I forget what bridge they were building at the time. It had been in the 90s. And we're just like standing at the end of the bridge, and like maybe 10, 15 feet, it just stops, and that would have been where the river is. Like, they're building the bridge. It wasn't completely over yet.
In Germantown?
So there used to be I don't know the history of all those bridges downtown, but I know
he works for Metro, right?
Yeah. I think it would have been that Shelby Street, not Shelby Street.
I'm betting it was.
It's the bridge right there in Germantown. I bet it was.
Yeah.
Because that's not that old of a bridge.
It just got renovated. It's still an active fire station.
No. This one's gone.
Oh, okay.
Tins. It was Tins.
Yeah. Oh, okay. Yeah.
The one you're thinking about is in East Nashville. That one still has a fire pole and everything.
Yes. Yeah. It's cool, man.
It is cool.
Really cool.
I wish cities would lean into that a little more, man. I mean, there are several throughout Nashville that they could have kept. Dude. Yeah, and it's maintenance and all
Plus
the new
trucks are bigger. I mean, they're not fitting in.
Correct. But I mean, you could do some kind of deal where you renovate that, and make it offices or whatever. Because I guess, but then you're having to acquire more property, and it's probably easier just to get it where you need it. Get the bigger bays. You can have all the bathrooms, living quarters. You can get all that right, because in those old fire halls, I mean, it was
the old fire halls too.
It's like a locker room and then a room with some beds, bunk beds.
And by the way, people that are listening from the north, we're talking about fire stations. They don't know what fire halls are. I've experienced that too. It's a fire station. Down in the south, we call them fire halls. But
why do they call them fire halls? I've always called them like my dad has always referred to it as a fire hall.
Well, it's a fire hall. It's not just when you have a fire station. Usually they involve like the center of the community. So they are the rec hall, they are the dance hall. They are all these different things. They serve purposes, but they have bays and they have fire trucks in them. So it's kind of a community center, at least it used to be. So the word hall stuck with it. But of course, you know, and that's typically in rural areas or smaller communities. But in bigger cities or just in cities, it's fire stations, because you have a stationing throughout the city.
I get it. So my whole point in saying that, real quick, and then I'll let you go, is that when I'm like, there's been people that I've reached out to, singer-songwriters in and around Nashville, or like people related to bands that I think are insane. Like Gary Stewart's a really
I want
good
to
example.
meet anybody attached to him.
So I've been in contact with I email with his daughter, and we got her address, and where we had made some stickers that are kind of an ode to Gary Stewart. I mean, dude, when I say I'm into this dude, 2 years ago I had no idea who he is.
Right.
I listened to it and I'm like, how did I know about this?
Yeah. Yeah.
And I'm like fanatical about it.
Fanatical.
Well, fanatical to the point, when I say fanatical, I mean that I'm so thirsty to just listen to him and hear everything. So like, since I was 14 years old, you're scrolling through looking for bands and you hear something, you're like, oh, that's killer. And then you dig a little deeper. And then some bands, you're like, they had one song, the rest of it's trash. But then some people you scoop like you're mining, and it's like, everything I just checked out's insane. Let me dig a little deeper. Oh, that whole album's insane. Oh, this whole period. And when
there's just so many.
And like when you strike gold, though, is when you find a band or an artist who, it's like they did no wrong whatsoever. And I really I would go to there's like maybe a handful of songs of his that I think maybe it's like a weird time, like the 80s or something. It just sounds wrong, or sometimes, man, maybe these guys were just trying something out different. But for the most part, I think he's surfing, man. Like he really I don't know. I really haven't read a ton about him. I haven't watched any documentaries. I haven't read any books. But just from listening to his music alone, I feel like I can tell this dude understands honky tonk. This dude he had to have lived it. The same way other people, like let's say Townes Van Zandt or something. I don't know if you know who that is, but he was like he would basically be like the Texas version of Gary Stewart. Like maybe a little more on the singer-songwriter side. But what I'm saying is the reason I'm so excited about Gary Stewart is because he's virtually, I don't want to say virtually unknown, because I mean they have like a page about him at the Country Music Hall of Fame, like on their website. I think he's known. It was just like he's not George Strait.
Right.
He's not Alan Jackson. He's not. And one bad problem with Nashville, like corporate country music Nashville, is they really spend a lot of time pumping up like the huge big names. Mm-hmm. And then like all these other people down here below it are kind of fending for themselves.
Well, that's how you stay alive, isn't it? As an industry.
Yeah. I mean, like they're looking for a bunch of Michael Jacksons. They want the home runs.
Oh yeah.
But then you have people like Steve Earle, who are, maybe borderline rock, borderline alt country, whatever he's doing, and they don't really tend to that at all. Where I think they could have had their own Leonard Skinnards and Marshall Tucker bands and other. I think you see it with Zach Brown band. You like him, right?
Of course.
So I think,
in fact, his rock music is that's what he was meant to do, not country, I think.
And to tie the Gary Stewart thing up is I just got excited about it, man. And I'm just like,
that's great.
I don't see anybody talking about this. Why has no one said this to me?
Because
and why do I not see it anywhere?
Because no offense to anyone that's tied to him or to you, once you get to a certain point in country music, at least, once you get to a certain point, you're considered a fuddy-duddy. You know what I mean? Like you're the Elmer Fudd. And then once in a while, they bring you out for nostalgic purposes.
They did George Jones like that.
I know. To play a song. Remember, they wouldn't let him play his... It was huge. I had choices. And they wouldn't let him play it at the Country Music Awards, the CMAs. And it was the biggest song, but they didn't want him playing it because he's George Jones. He's this old guy. So then Alan Jackson got up there. I don't know if you remember. And he was playing his song that he was supposed to play. And then the band switched. And in the middle of the song, he started playing that song. And then he grabbed the neck of the guitar as he walked off stage, looking at the, I guess I don't know who, but he was looking at him. No, not waving, not nothing.
That's punk rock.
As in, screw you. You won't let him play it? Then I'm going to play it.
That's cool.
And of course, he gained a big old fan base.
And I feel that way about Gary Stewart personally. Like
we need to get Alan Jackson on here.
He ain't coming.
We can do it.
Alan and Craig Jackson, no relation. But anyway, man, I just felt like, okay, with what little influence I have over mailing these boxes out and throwing a sticker in, I'm going to do an ode to this dude that I really like. And so anyway, we took those stickers and I contacted her and we figured out how to mail it to her. And I just sent it, man. And she loved it.
Good.
And I don't know. I mean, I don't know what else I can do. I've been super excited about other bands in the past that I've mentioned too, and it's like I just continually mine for this stuff. And the 70s were such a genius time for music that there's a lot of stuff that got overlooked.
You think the 70s?
Oh yeah. Like if I had to pick 5 years, I've said this before, if I had to pick 5 years that I think were the greatest 5 years of music, it would be from 68 to 1973. That's what I would pick personally. I think you could argue a year or two here or there, but man, for rock music, 68, 69 is just insane.
What was the garbage decade?
What do you mean? The 80s?
Pure crap.
I would probably say the 80s. There's some stuff in there too, though, that's really good. It's just not my cup of tea. Like you had a lot of stuff taken off, like REM, Joy Division, New Order. Like there's just Smiths, but I'm not really into that kind of stuff. It's like college rock or something at the time.
Yeah. You would say that over the 90s?
Dude, I actually think, man, I would.
I'm not biased.
I think the 90s
either.
are almost the 70s again. I've really thought about that since that Quentin Tarantino podcast. Like, you look back now, even, man, dude, look at this. I mean, I'm looking at this Rolling Stone right here, and you got Kid Rock. Now, I don't like Kid Rock, but he's big.
Mm-hmm.
Corn, Alanis Morissette, Red Hot Chili Peppers. That's Limp Bizkit. They're trash.
Alanis Morissette.
But then, bro, Metallica.
Died, I think.
Alanis Morissette's not dead.
Just saying.
She's torn. She's broken. She's laying on the ground. That's Natalie Imbruglia.
So the
like
90s,
Rage Against the Machine, Sheryl Crow, Dave Matthews Band, like Fish. I mean, there's a lot of big music that came from then.
I forgot about Fish.
Do you like them? Did you ever get into that kind of stuff?
Dude, I mean, my developmental years, of course, was the 80s.
You mean when you were wearing Jinkos and smoking pot with the hacky sack kids?
That and underoos. So a lot of people don't know what underoos were. Underoos, you might as well just had a cape and flew around like Superman. It was awesome. But anyway, but yeah, the 80s, I mean, it wasn't until I came, that was my first introduction into music was actually, my dad played blues records all the time. Huge fan of blues. He would play records. We didn't have cable. There wasn't any of that. We didn't have access to all this.
He played what?
Blues records.
Yeah. Like white blues or black blues?
Both. And it didn't matter. Anything.
Oh, it matters.
Anything that sounded like, you know, any of that.
Did you play like Stevie Ray Vaughan?
All
what about like John Lee Hooker, like old black blues?
Old.
You listen to that?
Muddy Waters, the whole thing.
You like that? Do you like that stuff?
Of course. Yes. Honestly, I think that and bluegrass is the purest form of American music, period.
They didn't benefit from good recording, though.
Of course, which makes it even better. You know? I mean, you listen to like, what was the movie that came out? Oh, Brother, Where Art Thou?
Yeah. Yeah, they made a lot of people in Nashville a lot of money.
Yeah. Okay, so that Man of Constant Sorrow, that's blues. I mean, there's a banjo in it, but it's blues.
Yo, I've met him.
Who?
Dan Tominski.
Oh, really?
Yeah. I met him in Whole Foods. Super nice guy. Probably one of the best guitar players in Nashville.
Yeah.
But anyway, yeah, I agree with you.
But
really, it's the same thing. Blues
and bluegrass.
Blues and like bluegrass country. Like bluegrass country, to me, looking back on bluegrass and country, it's kind of the same thing, just like different instruments. Bluegrass, you're going to have more banjo, fiddle, stand-up bass, where country, you can have just an acoustic guitar, and then they really ventured more. It's kind of the same timeline. It just ventured into rock.
I mean, dude, why else would major, huge bands cover Hank Williams? You know what I'm saying?
Because it's sick.
The White Stripes.
Because it's dope.
They did. I mean, it's good.
Because it's a good song.
Yes.
Like when you really get down to the bottom of a band and you're like, why do I like this band? Why is this band good? It's because you think the songs are good.
It's
You
timeless.
can't be like a killer band. The only person that I can think of that fits that description right there is Government Mule.
Okay.
And maybe like John, what's that, Bonamassa guy. I don't dig him too much.
I know who you're talking about.
Like where you could be so technical and just good, but maybe you're just not the best at writing songs. Now, I'm not crapping all over Warren Haynes before I make any enemies, but I like Warren Haynes. I think he's one of the most talented musicians ever. That's the guitar player from Government Mule. But I think that he hasn't really ever written a record that's just hit. But then you have somebody like Oasis that can, really The Weeknd is this way too, the rap guy or the pop guy. It's like you can make some music that really just resonates with the times. And I think that was going on in the 90s.
Well, that's what the blues is.
Yeah. But I mean...
Everybody knows the blues,
But that can resonate. I think that blues and country, specifically, to back your point up, can resonate for a long time because it's the pure form of it. So if you're downtrodden and depressed and you're white, it's country. If you're downtrodden and depressed and you're black, it's blues. Like that's where those were born out of.
They were born that way.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah.
And then you get different people's interpretation. I will crap all the time though on white blues. It's very rare to me that it sounds honest and it comes across the right way. Like when I hear Eric Clapton singing the blues, It sounds to me like I'm listening to Winona Judd singing.
Totally.
Like just I can't dig it.
Totally
it's not right.
Hear you, man.
But then you listen to somebody like Albert King, John Lee Hooker, B.B. King. It's coming out of their soul the same as it's coming out of like Jimi Hendrix. His music is just coming out of him.
Yeah. 100%.
So that's my view on the blues piece. But I mean, obviously there's differences to that. I mean, there's John Mayall and the Blues Breakers is disgusting. I mean, you listen to ZZ Top, they get it. I mean, there's some true interpretations of the stuff.
There are some true interpretations in mainstream.
There's some true interpretations.
But there's not that many examples.
Of what?
Of true interpretation of blues in mainstream.
Well, I think there's a lot of... You
hear it once in a while, but it's not...
But I think as a foundation for a lot of music, the blues is there. I mean, I do. I think
maybe copy.
Maybe not like but I mean, well, just what you were saying. You were talking about the White Stripes, and then you said that they covered. Well, I mean, they covered Jolene too, Dolly Parton song.
It's phenomenal.
But then they put their little twist on it.
That's what I mean.
Now I don't 100% identify with what the White Stripes did either. It seems a little contrived to me. But then like the Black Keys to me are
Black Keys, yeah.
I mean, they're doing it. They feel it, and then they put the production piece onto it. Like when you listen to records that Dan Auerbach had anything to do with, he's the guitar player for the Black Keys. When you listen to anything he's done studio wise, even with the bands that he does on Easy Eye Sound, they just sound good. That guy knows how to get a good capture of a recording. I don't care anything about any drama or him and his ex-wife or him and Jack White, any of that. That dude, for some reason in his head, can hear and get just this old Memphis Stax record, pure, updated sound. It's brilliant.
And back then, man, when they were doing recordings, they were probably in a block wall room with a wooden floor and 2 microphones.
You know what's interesting about
no baffling, no, and
that's what the Black
echo.
But that's what the Black Keys did when they first started, is what you're saying too.
Yeah.
So I wonder if there's something to that, where they started that way, then they start making a little more money. He gets good equipment. Well, he was doing a killer sound with bad equipment in a basement,
and they're in a more controlled environment studio.
And now he's got the money to tinker.
Yeah.
Which goes back to one of our original ideas, where if you give somebody freedom, so now he's not having to worry about the money, and how he can do it.
All he's got to do is create.
Yeah.
You put him in that position, jeez.
So is that not a true artist? Neil Young's like that. You give Neil Young a guitar, some time, motivation, maybe some pot, and just a couple guys that can basically bang the sticks together and keep a bass line. That's Neil Young and Crazy Horse.
Okay. I got to say this, and then so I got to say this. This is a great example, a good leadway into what I believe in movies. I can translate this. Okay. This is perfect. The same can be said about CG. That you lost me at that point. When you're creating movie props, to make it believable to me that what you're doing, like killing someone or, I don't know, running through a wall, all these different effects that you're trying to get me to believe in the movie that you want me to watch, and you make it believable and look like, wow, and I have a reaction, that's artistry. CG is not, in my opinion. So that's why, personally, just me saying it, is I think the 80s is complete and utter garbage music.
Did you like the movies from the 80s?
It was all synthesized, man. That's when we learned about synthesizing and automated beats from computers, and
I have a buddy who would argue against
everything.
Well, think about the cream that came out of the 80s, though. Like, what were the big... Metallica.
Well, even recording devices were digital at that point. Before, you had all analog, and you had microphones with tape.
I think you still have guys going through those eras, though, that are using tape and doing it right. It's just... Then you have, like, Rat and Winger and, like, Guns N' Roses, that whole, bro. Okay, people who really jack off to like Queen and Guns N' Roses.
I like them, but I don't do that to them.
I'm not saying those people weren't talented, but one thing that music snobs do that would be equivalent to like woke people is where you like would be the equivalent of like picking your own facts and doing all that is we like, as a music snob, I like to find bands that are not necessarily big.
Oh yeah.
And for me, it's because I have so much other stuff that I'm listening to. I'm still trying to dig and find more. Or like, it'd be like if you dug this little hole and you found a little bit of gold, you're like, okay, maybe there's way more gold in this hole. And then you dig down and you find a Gary Stewart and you're like, F.
Good for you, man. You explained that perfectly.
To me, like that was me. Like maybe there's a whole group of people out. I mean, I know there's tons of people out there that still listen to Gary Stewart because it's not just a total lost thing. Like here's this lost album and where's this guy, whatever happened to him, and then he's dead and gone. Like Jeff Buckley. Do you know who Jeff Buckley is?
Nope.
Jeff Buckley made a record called Grace in like 92 to 94. It might be like 93. I don't know. Somewhere right there. Then he drowned in the Mississippi River.
Really?
Yeah, he wasn't intoxicated. He wasn't on drugs. He drowns in the Mississippi River, and then now that record's just like a cult classic. Like that's not what happened to Gary Stewart.
Buckley?
Jeff Buckley.
All right, I'm gonna look him up.
It's like coffee house music a little bit.
I'm surprised I'm hearing about him for the first time.
That's what I'm saying. So there's people that he dies, and then he, he didn't really have any fame before. Like he was playing places and has recordings.
His
and
name
whatever.
is cool.
Jeff Buckley. It's a cool name.
No, wait a minute. That's those truck stops.
No,
Buckley's?
that's Bucky, bro.
Bucky.
Have you been in one of those?
Oh yeah.
Hang on, let's come back to Bucky's because I have too.
Well,
but
hold on one second. Let me come right back.
You got to go again?
Yeah.
I'm gonna pee. But hey, I'll keep talking on this Gary Stewart, and then you get your stuff. So the thing with Gary Stewart, you can go ahead. I'll finish this and then go. But whatever. But Gary Stewart,
I'm so interested in him, and I never even knew about him until.
So
you
he's
pointed
doing
him out.
his thing. I could. The closest equivalent to a person right now to Gary Stewart to me is Whitey Morgan. Whitey Morgan in the 78s is one of the most disgusting bands I've ever heard. I've seen him live. I've had a beer dumped on my head live. I had a lady, bro, this is how killer Whitey Morgan's concerts are.
Yeah.
I had a lady next to me in Chattanooga, Tennessee, with the bottom cardboard of one of those beer trays, that, like saying that
Yeah.
for $100, her friend would give her $100 if Whitey'd let her touch her beard. And then her buddy puts, like her boyfriend, like puts his arm around her, is like, yeah, I used to bang her in high school and all that. And like, it was trash.
Right.
It's the best country and western music I've ever heard live.
Wow.
Okay, so that's my experience with seeing like real honky tonk music live is Whitey Morgan, and they friggin' kill it, dude. They cover Fire on the Mountain. They cover Springsteen, couple songs like I'm on Fire. Like, dude, he's insane. His records are good. All that. He's from California. Excuse me. So I'm into that.
Sound like an alligator.
And then I find Gary Stewart. And I'm like, holy crap, dude. This dude is the Whitey Morgan of about 75 to however long he toured. And that's what I'm saying. I've purposefully not read much about him. Not much about his life. Like, I understand what happened to him in the end. I understand he recorded these records. And, yeah, I just really dig it. And I think it was an honest thing that just didn't get... Like, he may have got some attention, but it never got the attention that it deserved, honestly.
Man.
And I think he's very good. Like, it's just, and I get excited about it to the point where I just try to find people to tell about it.
Dude, you put him on your stickers, man.
Yeah, honestly, just like a fan.
I know.
I mean, if I was really just trying to use somebody's image to like make my stickers look cool, I'd do like some little Michael Jackson feed or something.
Right. I mean, I guess technically that isn't him, but
it's in like an ode to him. I just thought it was such a, and it's not, it's like this off meta album too. It's off this Stepping Out album. And God, his band is good. He is good. The recordings are good. And
it's making me excited. I'm going to clean the house listening to him when I get home.
You should. I mean, it's one of those honest expressions of here's this guy that's living a honky-tonk lifestyle, and I don't even know that. I can just tell from the music.
I bet he didn't make but $50,000 a year somewhere in there.
I don't know.
Was never rich, probably. Dude, if he lived his life as a gangster, a country gangster, like the way I would envision Hank Williams did. Like, he just drank and he had Cadillacs and horses. You know,
like he did this weird job of where he could sing real good and play songs,
but all he cared about was booze and horses or something.
Yeah, and I don't know about all that. I view it as like he has this family. He's got this wife that he obviously loved a ton. Gary Stewart. He has this wife he loves a ton, and like he goes out and he'd go on tour and you play these shows, and like to them at that point, it's like, well, man, I'm not having to do some 8 to 5 industry job like my grandfather.
So I'm not
having to flip the dirt.
Yeah.
I'm going out there and I'm making this money. It's fun.
Dude.
Like, imagine me telling my wife, like, man, I can go out there, I can drink, I can play my songs, I'm hanging out with my buddies, and I can sell these shirts or bumper stickers or whatever we're selling, and I can come home. I don't have to bust my friggin' knuckles up everywhere, man. I mean, that's what they were doing. And then that's what the Stones and everybody were doing. That's what Jeff Beck, Rod Stewart, that 68, 69. I'm telling you, that's what those people were doing. And then it all busted loose and everybody figured out how much money they could make. And so going back to what I'm saying about Queen, just because somebody's huge doesn't mean that they're really, really good.
Understood.
And just because somebody's really small and unknown doesn't make them good either.
Understood. But particularly with Queen, that voice, man.
Yeah, I know. But I've never, it's girl music to me.
Yeah.
Not just because it has the word Queen, but like, I just associate it with like, that's the type rock and roll girls could be into.
Yeah, I know exactly what you mean.
Like, if I'm going to sit down and listen to a record, it's not going to be Queen. It's going to be like Deep Purple.
Well, plus, it was so close to corporate. Even at the time, it was close, but it never went corporate. From what I understand, it was
Queen?
just... Yeah. In fact, that there was so much push against their music that it was truly cultish in a way that only real fans got it. Because he wrote about his bicycle, man.
Yeah.
Flat bottom girls, and he was gay. I mean...
I'm not saying they don't have good songs either, though.
Dude, it was great.
They do have good songs. It's just not my bag.
Yeah. But I'm just saying that I think it resonated with a core group for a very long time until they became Queen, you know, on an international stage, and then they just blew up. But it's just like anything else, and I think it's okay that you would understand that I would call you a music snob, you know, or a music nerd or any of those analogies. But a lot of people, man, they don't like it when the band gets discovered.
Yeah.
They like them in the clubs, but when they get discovered on an international level, then they consider them, you know, sellouts or something.
I've fallen into that trap before where I feel like, man, I don't want people to know about this band or whatever, or this is like my little band. And I still have bands that I feel like,
but dude, they got to eat too.
Like, people don't deserve to know about them.
Yeah.
You know? And but I really have tried to get over that. Two things that I feel like I've gotten over big time in my musical journey is caring about like the image of that band and like if I like them or not. Meaning, like, if it's Lady Gaga or if it's Britney Spears, oh, that's like girl music. Like, if it sounds good, dude, I just like it. I'll just listen to it. And I like to mix that as wildly as I can. Yo, I'm yelling in the mic. Why are you yelling in the mic? So I'm let's just talk about what we're trying to do with the podcast, man, because we talk about that a lot. I mean, I'm trying to create an environment. We're right here in Nashville. It was a happy accident that I talked to you and my buddy who was a fireman, and then I was like, bro, I'm talking to firemen, and it just like clicked with me. Like, of course I should. You know, like my dynasty of my family, they're like the Gracies, like the Gracies of firefighters in Nashville. There's like all these, you know, different firemen that have been part of my family. I've said that the same way like 3 times.
Yeah.
I'm thinking about turning this around. Hang on.
I know what you mean. Where'd you get that?
Again, that was from Ashley's grandmother. Yeah, and I drilled the holes in her head. I like it.
It's an improvement on her.
Yeah, I think so. Like, what do you do with that? Just sit it around?
Well, it looks
now I use it all the time.
Yeah, and it looks like a crown. Makes sense.
Yeah, I should put a couple more holes and then just put them there. And then as we do them, just like one across.
Boom.
But so I'm trying to create an environment, man, and I think you've been a perfect fit for doing it too, where it's like we're right here, and the fireman thing happened, and that was super cool. And then I was like, yo, you got all these unsung people that are, man, you know how cool firemen can be. Like, just different. They're characters. They're all different.
All a bunch of alpha males or type A personalities, I should say. Not alpha males. I don't know. I think it was so close related. But anyway, I almost said it again. Type A personalities where they got to get a job done. They're overachievers. It's full of people like that. They get a ton of energy.
Working 2 jobs or entrepreneur-minded
always
people.
Doing, boom, boom, boom.
It's giving them a little stability. Yeah, cool people.
Yeah, that's a lot of fun.
So then that hit me, like, man, we could, just talk to some firemen and kind of network that out. And that's when we talked to Jeff. And, I mean, it's just been fun. And, I don't care, man. I mean, I want to have conversations with cool people.
Yeah.
Me and you've had some killer conversations, and they're getting better. And then just this love I have for music and tying it in. So technically speaking, like, this whole thing is sponsored by, you mentioned it earlier, like the record business, like the selling the records. So the selling
it's
music,
incredible.
Selling records as my side gig, and then my wife just took it over. Like, that's the truth of it all. Is it was a side gig for me, and just something I was super interested in.
Maybe this should be an only music podcast.
No, man.
I mean, not
I did it again.
You did it again.
Swipe my nose.
It's a wonder it's not bleeding, dude. It's really swollen.
I think I broke it.
It's swollen and red.
It's jacked.
Yeah. Yeah, it's been jacked.
Anyway. But it feels good.
It's been septimized.
I'm proud of it. So, yeah, I mean, we're right here, and we got all these cool people. And then the thing is when you say music only podcast, I think ultimately if you have a conversation, but I mean, 100%. I think if you have a conversation with anybody in Nashville that's from here, like Jeff,
dude,
or you, it's going to end up at music.
It is,
because it's literally in the soil here. Mm-hmm. It's why there's a city here.
And plus, isn't it relaxing to talk about it?
Yeah, it's fun.
It can go so many different directions.
It's not politics.
Absolutely.
And there's always common ground. And when you find a band that you both like, think about the common ground that's there and how you can form a friendship around that. Like, yeah. I have friends because we like the same band, or we saw the same concert, and now I continue to talk to them over and over and over and over and over just because of that one thing.
I know I keep bringing this up, but a good example is Bruce Springsteen. From all the music that I do like, it doesn't make sense why I don't like Bruce Springsteen. But it's because
could be the negative right-wing, right-sided people have negative tones towards Bruce Springsteen.
Not even when I was in high school, I didn't understand that. I didn't get it. Careful.
I'm trying, man. Don't get kicked in the face,
dude. What if you had blood blisters up in there and don't even know it? It's going to break when you're asleep. Ugh.
I don't know. This feels cartilage related.
But Bruce Springsteen doesn't make any sense to me. Never did.
You know who's like that for me?
All the music that I like, I should like him, but I don't.
What about John Cougar Mellencamp?
It has nothing to do with politics. Isn't that crazy that should be brought up? But
do you like Dylan?
No, I don't understand that either.
Is there anything that's singer-songwriter that you do like? Do you like Neil Young?
I love Neil Young.
He's insane, dude.
I love Neil Young.
Just talk about Neil Young. I can talk about Neil Young all day.
Singer-songwriter for modern times, at least, is Jack White. I mean, anything that dude touches, love. I love that dude.
That's cool.
And I love it that he's in Nashville. I love it that the place that I go to pick up my stuff for my other job is next door. It's right there, and I'm just expecting him to walk out or something. I don't know.
Do you ever see people standing in line to get in there when you're over there? Like random times?
Never.
I guess that would have been a pre-COVID thing. They used to do sales in there where
they did?
Yeah, they would do like a limited, like let's say they were putting out some, I'll just make this up, but like a reissue of a Dolly Parton song. They would put out a specific color that you could only buy there, and there would be only so many, and people would line up. So for Death Proof, no, not Death Proof. It was
yeah, it was Death Proof. No.
Hateful Eight.
Hateful Eight. Okay, yeah.
They made this metal box that they literally shot 2 bullets through, and then that had a picture of each one of the people, like it was 7 inches, 45s, and each one of them had an individual sleeve that had a picture of a character from the movie, and then they had all the songs from the movie.
Bull crap.
Yeah, you could buy.
They shot a bullet through it. How many editions? Or
I forget.
That's a single.
Dude,
edition.
I'll show it to you. Look it up.
That's a single edition, but it's. I'm sure they made 300 maybe.
That would be about right. It was something like that. I'll look it up here real quick.
That's usually how many they do.
So, dude, you probably don't even know much about. There's kind of a social media.
I know a lot about it.
Site that goes along with records called Discogs. You ever heard of that?
No, I did not know that.
Yeah, it's a cool. That's
Discogs, as in
like
demagogues or dogs.
Discogs, as in like discography. So DISCOGS.
I was hoping it had some sort of like animal meaning to it, like hogs or something.
No,
a bit better.
Discogs.
I think it is, man. Like disc hogs.
Yeah.
But it's short.
Like you're hogging all the records.
Yeah.
And you just. But yeah, it's cool, man. You should check it out sometime. But like they'll show, they'll have all these different versions, and you can see like what they're worth or what they're selling for. It's kind of like the idea of a Beckett when we were kids.
Mm-hmm.
That's really what this is. It's like a Beckett and a sales place, and people can rate them and you can comment. I don't really get into that side of it though, man. I don't care to comment and get the word out about what I think about some record.
So
in that way,
they shot a bullet through each one.
Yeah, I'm
so
gonna find this.
Maybe a table, stationary guns, pow, and then next.
Yeah. Hang on.
So they had to have opened the lid and looked to make sure that the pictures were shot.
Okay. This came out in 2016. You can see the bullet holes through the box. And it was like a metal.
I want it so bad.
You could get one. Oh, it's $75 now.
What?
Bro, these used to sell. Look, the highest it's ever sold for was $500.
So maybe they shot it through.
Oh, it says LP only. Okay, so it came with the 7 inches, but then it came with a full 12-inch LP alternate cover too.
Yes,
I forgot about that.
Have it. Yes or no?
I used to have it, bro. Here's the deal with the. Bro, you may just
that
buy.
Was a good album.
Hey, you may buy one right now.
Don't do it.
$200.
Well, I mean, it's
for the podcast.
If you want it, I don't know.
Yo, let's straight buy it on air, right?
But
$200. No, dude, I sold one of these.
Are you talking about the whole the kit?
Yeah,
the box.
Yo, here, I'm gonna pass it over to you, and you look at the picture. Here. Oh, it had a blood. You remember the letter? The letter from. It had the blood stained letter that Samuel L. Jackson carried too. Like
yeah.
Dude, you need that,
bro.
That's cool, isn't it?
You think it's a real bullet hole though?
Yeah, I know it is. I know, bro. Here, I can.
That's a pretty large caliber. I mean. I don't know how.
I mean, what do you think they could have lined up so many? But here's what I think happens.
I was thinking. Yes,
that dude. This was my point of all this.
Because it goes through paper and really thin metal.
He is the Willy Wonka of packaging, so he does a lot of cool stuff. They had like a liquid filled record, where it looked like a lava lamp inside the record.
Oh my god!
Now the funny thing about that,
you could play it.
Yeah. They had bro, dig this one.
Wow.
They had a record inside of a record one time where it had songs on the outside, and you could break open the record to listen to one inside, but it would ruin the songs on the outside. So like, I dig that aspect of what he does. And I dig the fact that he is part. The one credit that I will give Jack White is he is part of the resurgence of vinyl and people being excited about like the just the material and the process and just artistically exploring like all these like colors. Like he definitely is the person that made people care about getting color variants and the collectability, just making it cool.
Well, even outside of his place,
but I just kind of think his music is
yellow and gray and all that.
Yeah,
that colors. Here's what I like about.
That's all I'll say positive about him. But go ahead.
That's all you had to say positive about him?
I'm just not a fan, man. Like I'm just not a fan. He seems negative to me, and
he's not attractive.
I've had several opportunities to see him, and I've seen him in every band that he's ever been in except for the White Stripes, and that one just eluded me. I actually had tickets to see the White Stripes at the Ryman Auditorium, and they were supposed
at the Ryman.
It was completely sold out. It was like fanatical that they were even going to do it.
And you said, nah.
No. He broke his wrist on a dude's face, and they canceled it.
Oh wow.
But they ended up recording. It was supposed to be a recording, like they were recording a live show there, and it was going to come out on DVD. But they ended up doing the I think it's under Blackpool Lights. They ended up doing a different one, and then it never happened. But I can remember taking my tickets back to get my money back.
You know, one of the main reasons I like him, just about every song sounds like a fight song, and it could be used as a workout type of song. But
Dude, you have definitely made me rethink it though, because I've never thought about that aspect of how much he has done for vinyl, and I should be appreciative of it because. Of course. It's half of my family income. Yeah.
But the other part of it is he sounds like he never left the club.
Yeah, I can agree with that.
Everything he does, it sounds like he's still in the club. Maybe in the garage.
There used to be this effect though when you would get his new records or like a new White Stripes record, he was stretching the sound out a little bit. And it would be irritating at first, and you'd be like, what's he doing with that? And it would be like a theme throughout a record. And I'm thinking about, God, hold on, I'm going to say it wrong. I can't think right now.
Did you ever see the Netflix thing, the documentary where he went up to Alaska and went up past the Arctic Circle doing concerts?
Yeah.
Because there's no concerts up there.
You know, Metallica went and played. Have you seen their show, Freeze 'Em All, where they went to Antarctica and took fans and played in a bubble?
What?
Yeah, and to be environmentally...
They used an electric plane?
No. What's the word? They were trying to be aware of the environment, and so everybody's wearing headphones, and they're playing, but it's being pumped into headphones as opposed to being loud. Get Behind Me, Satan is the record I'm trying to name here. But
Wait. I'm sorry. You just said something profound. They did the entire concert on headphones?
Dude, I'll look it up. Look.
In the Arctic?
Yeah.
Are you young Jamie right now?
Yeah, I'm young Jamie and Rogan at the same time. Look at me go. Yeah. Look, I'll do it with my foot.
You're doing it.
All right. So as I'm looking up this other thing, Get Behind Me, Satan, when Jack White would when he would do these records, it's like the sound would expand a little bit and it would be irritating and it wouldn't sound like the record before. And so it would stretch out like what guitar sounds could be made. Like he's exploring like these... Man, I don't even know how to describe it because they would just be irritating, but then you would be like, oh, it's sick. So when he started doing his solo records, it started getting out too far for me, and I just don't dig it. Like, I think he should just still be the White Stripes and replace that chick.
Wasn't that his sister or wife?
No, man, it was like it was his wife.
Yeah.
Dude, there's a really cool, I don't even want to say documentary because I don't know if it's a full documentary, but I want to say I saw part of a documentary that really covers that really well. Like that became lore of the band, and like they just kind of embraced it. He's a very artistic guy,
crazy artistic,
and I think
he's really good friends with not Crystal Gale. You mentioned her earlier, Loretta Lynn.
Yeah, here it is, hour and 12 minutes. This happened 7 years ago.
They put him on headphones.
Mm-hmm.
How is that environmentally conscious?
On a boat, they took fans with them. Don't forget that part. Look at
that. How is that?
So they set up a freaking biodome, dude.
I don't get it. How is that environmentally friendly?
Well, they didn't want to have noise. They didn't want to have noise pollution.
Noise pollution. They're in a bubble.
Yeah, but they're like, they would disrupt the environment of ice and.
Yes or no? That's a ploy. Like a just, hey, we're doing it.
Okay, so technically it was. The reason they did it, and I haven't looked any of this up, I didn't even plan to talk about this, but they had played every single continent that year already except Antarctica.
Okay. So you had to do it. It was recommended to them, I bet, don't play it out loud because you're going to hurt the penguins.
Okay, now think about what we were talking about earlier with freedom and everything else.
And Mr. Norwal.
If you block out all the negativity, we have people so friggin' rich and so friggin' rad at playing music that they just look up and go, hey, man, we've played every continent except Antarctica.
Why haven't we played our Antarctica?
Bro, that would be sick. Do you know how much pot you have to smoke?
Gary. Why not?
Gary, where's Gary?
Where's my agent?
Yeah. And then they get him here, and then they play. Bro, look at all those people. And think of the publicity of it.
Wow.
It's cool, man. It really is cool.
I bet they partied the whole way up there.
Can you imagine if you were like supposed to be there in the dome and you got diarrhea?
It wouldn't
Or
matter.
like you got food poisoning?
Yes or no, it would matter.
I would poop myself and sit there and watch it.
Matter. If they said, "Look, man, you can't come back in the dome," all right, I'm going.
Dude,
right
have
now.
you ever been to like a sporting event or anything like that where you did pee yourself or poop yourself just on purpose so you didn't have to move?
No. Yes, you've done it, man. Come on.
No, I didn't say I've never pooped myself.
You posing that question. Maybe.
I've never peed myself.
I did poop myself once. It happened. I wasn't sick either.
I mean, dudes pee in bottles. You know, the best setup I've ever had and had a situation like that, I was at Memphis in May. I could look up what year. I don't remember. But Neil Young was playing. And it was pouring down rain. And me and my buddy that I was with got rain gear. And so the jackets are super long and it's raining. So you could literally just pee on the outside of your rain gear and then it would just wash down to the ground. That was the best setup I've ever had at a show.
I did a
8-ball of cocaine.
I did a
dude, you know, go ahead.
I did a swiftwater rescue class once and we were in wet gear, which everybody knows. I mean, if you're in wet suits, you can pee in it.
Let that play. We can just
pee in it.
Peer over. This is like Beavis and Butthead right now.
It's going down the river. It's not like you're in a pool. But outside of that, I was coming back from Smyrna one time, and I thought it was a fart, and it wasn't.
I think everybody's crapped themselves. That's
as
not good.
As in, it was enough for me to tilt to the left the whole way home.
Do you know what's one of my favorite stand-up jokes of all time?
What's that?
Louis C.K. talks about like what it's like to be an older man, and he's like, sometimes you just like have to go white for no reason. You just like need to go to the bathroom and wipe.
Yeah. Okay. I could see
true.
that. Well, and the best line that I ever heard him say was when he was on Conan O'Brien, and he said, "Dude, why are people complaining about airlines and being on a plane? Why would anyone
I think that's
complain about that?"
I think that's one of the moments that like made him famous.
Probably because he just said, we're flying in a seat through the sky.
Yeah.
At 300 miles an hour.
Yo, is that not what we're saying on this whole podcast though?
Dude, this is the best thing.
Freedom.
It's the best thing.
Yeah, like forget all the crap that comes along with just stupid people. So here's what I really think it is, man. I really think there's people that are super intelligent and super creative, and they get the opportunity to do it, or maybe they take that leap of faith. They are upper echelon for sure in their talent. Mm-hmm. Like you couldn't say that. Like take Metallica for instance. Like that's one of the best drummers, the best bass players, and two of the best guitar players. And I mean, nobody's doing what they're doing in heavy metal. Nowhere close. Nobody's ever touched it. Can you think of any?
Maybe.
Yeah, but not for that long. And they.
Yeah.
I mean, they're. Yes,
yeah, you're right.
I'm not saying there's not bands that big, but what I'm saying is the level of success that those guys have.
And producing new.
It's unprecedented. I think part of that, though, is coming in and when they did, too, though, and continuing to be big in the 90s. Because people who were big in the 90s, all that stuff we were talking about earlier with figuring out how to make money and doing all that, I mean, they had gotten that pretty solid in the 90s. You know, that's why Budweiser, everybody else would sponsor you, get a bunch of money, send you out, you're on tour, you're making money. So people like Metallica, Dave Matthews Band, like there's been a lot of those bands, and you can see this when you look at the list of like richest singers, richest guitar players. They're all from like that era. So like you think like, okay, Led Zeppelin is huge. Robert Plant's got to be worth more money than Dave Matthews. Negative.
No.
Because Dave Matthews came up when like they had the how to capitalize on it. Perfect. They got all the shirts. They got the posters. You can get you a sticker. You can get you a Dave Matthews.
They figured out
coffee
marketing.
cup. Yes.
Yeah.
You know, and I think a lot of that came from Kiss. Like Kiss is out there making everything, dude. And they made money doing it, but maybe they made so much stupid crap that it didn't really work out. And so everybody else they've kind of got the model right now. And the reason I'm bringing that up is I think Metallica and Dave Matthews Band have about the same level of like stuff. Like Dave Matthews Band, you can get in their little wine club and you get like an extra little CD with some songs and you get some wine. And then Metallica does the whiskey. They do posters for everything. They got shirts, new stocks of shirts. It's basically like an online Gap for Metallica and for Dave Matthews Band at all times. Whatever you want, you can have it.
So maybe the 09 decade was the worst for music if you think about it, because it was corporate. They assembled bands corporately. And it was
every time I think like what you're saying, music, trying to pick a time,
marketing.
I think every single year if you went through, there's probably something that came out important.
Oh yeah, for sure. What would it be
maybe
between 00 and 10? Exactly.
Ron Adams Gold.
Really?
Yeah, but he wasn't big. It was an emergence of something.
Okay.
You know, like he's doing alt country. It predates all this Chris Stapleton stuff. It predates Jason Isbell. All that. He was in a band called Whiskey Town, which happened kind of in the late 90s. And like there's another band called Uncle Tupelo. These are all bands that ended up influencing that, like the second rise of indie bands. So here's what I'm starting to kind of figure out. It's like it's on 10-year loops.
Mm-hmm.
You got like the 80s and it's the college rock, REM, blah, 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 blah. 90s goes back. You basically have the 70s again. You got some big bands, Sheryl Crow. They're opening for the Stones. You know, like they're intertwining. You see Dave Matthews Band playing with Willie Nelson and all that. And then the 2000s come around and you have the Strokes and the White Stripes and all that. It's almost like the second coming of college rock.
Yes.
Now, this is just my perspective on it, but now we're coming back in, like about 2010, you start to have bands like Black Keys are doing their thing. I'm trying to think of another band that's like that. That they're very analog. I wasn't paying attention to a lot of music I was very big into like Chris Robinson Brotherhood, which was spin off of the Black Crowes. Like I was into some other stuff, but and
you had some comebacks like Beck and Weezer and that sort of thing.
Yeah. And I just think it goes in cycles, man. I don't really think that all the music in every generation is trash. I just think some things, like I just don't get it. Like I don't get Bowie. Like
I realize that.
I mean, Bowie's cool. There's some really cool songs, but I'm not fanatical about Bowie like some people are. Now, people who are probably fanatical about Bowie may think that like George Thorogood sucks.
Yeah. Well,
like it's even just like nostalgic crap or something.
It's like it's even like Boggs said. You know, it's all a matter of taste. It's not about which one is better or worse. Which I could agree with.
Every bit of it's subjective.
It's all.
I'm sure somebody sits around and listens to like Chinese meditation, just drone hymns, just and they just dig it. But I'm telling you, sometimes when there's no guessing though. When I turn on George Jones on this stereo sitting behind me, and every hair on my arms and legs stand up.
Yeah. Well, plus
I don't have to know whether I like it or not. I don't know what it is. It's insane.
Well, plus your system. I mean, it puts you in the studio.
Yeah.
It really does. That puts you in the studio.
Yeah, I did that because of COVID.
Yeah.
Like I couldn't go to shows anymore, and
it took over your mind.
We've talked about the quality of music, and I've really chalked it up to that the reason I had to have a very nice stereo is because I couldn't go see live music. Live music is the purest form you can get, you know, outside of really good recording on vinyl, high def CD, something. I'm not even going to say analog, because I think there's people that do digital the best that digital can be done.
Mm-hmm.
And that's also okay. Yeah, I think use the technology you have. So the problem with analog is, think about the space of tape. Well, you don't have that same restriction with digital. So with something like The Weeknd, he can use that absolutely to his advantage. You can polish it up, make it clean. But then when you put that on something that's not supposed to be polished up and clean, like CMT country music, it feels like mall music.
Yes.
Or like some crap you would hear if you go to Cracker Barrel.
Yeah.
Do you know what I'm saying? Like, it's just not honest.
Saying. Yeah.
Like, I want to hear it when I go to Cracker Barrel, though, dadgummit. Like, don't stop making the tractor tire throw the pig out and all that crap. Like, keep doing that. But I'm not listening to it anywhere else other than Cracker Barrel.
I'm not listening to it in Cracker Barrel.
I kind of, bro, do you like Cracker Barrel?
I mean, I love Cracker Barrel.
I do too.
It's good food, but even there, you know what? Even Cracker Barrel, my brother used to work there years ago, and he said that they microwave everything. There's nothing cooked there.
I don't care.
There's nothing cooked there.
Their food for I'm not trying to talk about Cracker Barrel, but their food for a chain restaurant, I think is pretty quality.
It's really good, but it's microwaved. I think they make the biscuits
They used to buy all that paint from Duron. They had Cracker Barrel brown. Pre-mixed. Anyway. Well, but yeah, I just think that the analog digital conversation I mean, Tool, they just had a new record that came out, and was it 2018, 2019? And it was, I mean, that's digital.
Yeah.
Sounds insane. The Weeknd, I keep bringing him up. The reason I keep bringing The Weeknd up is even though he's insanely popular, I think his music, we will look back on his, I could be wrong, but I think we'll look back on his music and it kind of captured the time. His Super Bowl show, all that was stupid. It wasn't good, any of that. But I do think that dude makes like some cool, catchy pop songs that aren't bad.
Yeah.
But anyway, I don't know, man.
How are you feeling about this one?
I think it's killer.
I like it.
I really dug the music stuff.
For anybody that doesn't know, a very common, and then we can close after this if you want, unless you have something else to say. But what we're trying to do here is we're just talking about a lot of the things that are meaningful to us and just common sense approach to things. It's very much that simple. We're family men. We really like women. We like people. We
like women, man.
Well, you know what I mean. We like women. There's guys out there that don't like women. I like women.
I'm tired too, man. Of
I got daughters, a granddaughter. There's some people that don't like women. There's some women who don't like men. No, I mean, as in, I don't know. There's really good. They don't respect them.
My name's Wylie, and I like women.
What I mean by that is that they don't respect, the other sex or something. All men are scum. All women are terrible. That's not,
I think there's some of that going around in our civilization, though, man.
Yeah,
I think there's
a lot of it.
I think there's some male negativity.
That's what I mean. So what I'm saying is, we've got daughters. We're guys who appreciate everyone.
If I'm a bad person, I'm a general entity in this story, not me specifically, but if I'm a male and I'm 37 and I weigh 245 pounds and I work out and I do jiu-jitsu or whatever, and you've ever seen me in real life, like, dude, I could bust you in the mouth. But we are so civilized that we don't bust each other in the mouth. That's what I'm saying.
Right.
Like, I was at the beach.
We're not cavemen.
Like, we went to the beach a couple weeks ago, my family, and I'm sitting there, and we're at the pool, we're at the beach. There's, you got hundreds of people around you. And I'm thinking, here we are, we're all these little different families, different backgrounds. Some people are Baptists, some people are church, some people don't go to church, some people are smoking pot, some people are drinking, some of these people are on Xanax, whatever. You know what I'm saying? Like, everybody's different. We're not fighting. I don't see any trash.
Right.
Just people being civilized, enjoying the same thing. Mm-hmm. Like, I really do think we've come a long way in this country, and I'm so tired of people like bad mouthing it. And I don't even mean from like a right left perspective. I'm just saying, if you are breathing and you live in this country, I mean, bro, this is one of the best times you could possibly be alive as far as just freedom, access to food and water, even through the whole pandemic, bro. What's the worst that happened? You didn't get your favorite toilet paper?
For everybody. There's no exclusions.
Like that, they had enough masks for everybody in the world, and they're just trying to keep selling them.
You could find them at parks if you wanted to, I'm sure.
Bro, you can go over here to the Chinese donut place. She sells hand sanitizer.
Dude, masks. You could find a shit bag for your dog at a park. Just sitting there. It's right there on the thing.
Oh, that park that you didn't have to pay for to go to?
Exactly. That's clean and people come by and cut the grass. Yeah, that one.
Yeah, and I think some of that stuff too, man, is some of that's Tennessee living too, though, man.
Maybe.
I think we live in a place where people just genuinely are just nice and courteous. I can't tell you how many people, when I stop at a stop sign or whatever, like, they wait for you to go. They're not like beating you, trying to be aggressive.
That's the difference between, I guess, area and culture. Like,
but do you think that your knife could be so sharp? Like, because our area, there's a lot of ex-military, there's a lot of cops. It's yeah, I guess what would you call it? Blue collar. It's kind of blue collar meets college grad area,
right? Yeah,
and yeah, dude. I mean, there's some people around here that I wouldn't want to fight them. I don't care. I don't care how much training I have, whatever. There's just big dudes, and I know a lot of people have guns, and maybe the knife is so sharp that
Well,
everybody's just chill.
For sure, but one punch can leave someone handicapped. So it's generally speaking not a good idea. But what I was going to say was I was just going to finish with that the goal here, and I'm not speaking exactly for Craig, but I sort of am, is the goal that we have here is just to connect with people that are like-minded and just a common sense approach to everything. And to be kind and to always want to work hard and learn and be better. Those are the people I want to talk to.
Well, and I think most people are in that spot. That's why I wanted to start this to begin with. I think that rational conversation of, hey man, everybody's from a different spot. Everybody's from a different background. Everybody has different outlooks and goals, and like, I don't know, man. I just think we get hyperactive or hyperactivated by the media and everything else to worry about all this stuff, dude, that doesn't matter.
It does not matter. In fact, it's...
I really thought we would talk a whole lot more about Afghanistan, and we talked a lot, and we talked about America, but I think the main point, man, and what Afghanistan makes me think is that I'm really proud to be living on the piece of dirt that I live on, and I don't know how I was blessed. I mean, before birth, man, to have people that were already here. I totally understand people that are storming the borders to try to be here.
Oh, for sure.
Like, I'm not talking about policy. I'm not talking about, and I'm saying on a human level, if I didn't live in this country, I would want to. And there's other countries too that I think are on that level now that weren't always that way. But don't forget that, like, man, when those dudes were storming the beaches in Normandy, they saved a lot of places that even exist in Europe now that are probably mostly peaceful.
Yep.
And then you got New Zealand and Australia. You got some places, man, that are really Brazil. Like, there's countries, man, that I think we used to turn our noses up as kids. Like, oh, that's just some third world, like Argentina and Brazil. They're coming on. I mean, I think people, the good thing about media is people see how we live, and we've really been leading the way, especially on, I mean, bro, there would be no social media without the United States. There's no TV.
Yeah.
There's none of that. But we started off talking about the dudes going to the moon. We kept some dudes alive, shot them to the moon, and brought them back.
In oxygen in space.
Like a bunch of times. Like, it wasn't just like one time.
And they ate food.
Pooped.
Yeah. Put it in a bag.
Or they probably even saved it and brought it back and studied their poop.
I hope they did.
I guarantee they did. I think they kept everything, dude.
I would be in an auction to buy some of it. It's been in space. It was a part of the Apollo. And
Neil Armstrong poop sells to Franklin firefighter.
And it came out of Neil Armstrong's bowels. I want it.
That's wild.
You
think there's an untapped musical market for like James Hetfield to sell his poop? Somebody would buy that dude's poop.
Well, I remember back in the 80s, early 80s, I remember very well that there was some dude who supposedly Michael Jackson was on this tour bus and had to go somewhere, and he went to a gas station, and that gas station covered the toilet. They kept it. It was Michael Jackson's urine, and kept it. So that happened.
Okay.
Supposedly.
Who do you think are the top 5 most famous people in the world?
Jesus?
No. Alive.
Oh. Arnold Schwarzenegger, I think, is a household name for many, many countries. Wouldn't you agree? He's kind of everywhere.
Our age. I don't know how. I don't think he's a bad one to bring up, but
he's sort of iconic and the epitome of a lot.
What about Donald Trump? Do you think he's more famous than Donald Trump?
I'd say he's famous. I
think Donald Trump's number one. I think Donald Trump is the most famous person alive. Is that
not for right or wrong? But yes, famous and having fame, yes. Probably Donald Trump.
Who would be next?
I'd say Obama, man. Somewhere in there. We're talking about presidents. I mean, he's got to be up there.
Do you think Obama is more famous than LeBron James?
Way more, yeah.
Okay. Do you think he's...
LeBron is more America, famous.
Do you think there are any leaders in the world that are more famous than Obama and Trump? Like, do you think that dude from China, just by the sheer number of people that live in China?
I mean, technically, there's over 1 billion.
But they all know who Donald Trump is, probably. I don't know. And
maybe they don't. A lot of it's rural, but I bet you they know who
been to
she
China?
is. Ching.
Have you been to China?
I have not.
Have you been to Japan?
I've only been to Southwest Asia, not Southeast.
So
I've
what
been
countries
all over
have you
the
been to?
Dude. Afghanistan, Yemen, Canada, Mexico, Curacao, Crete, Greece, Italy, Sicily, Iraq, Kuwait, Qatar. Did I say Canada?
Yeah.
Okay. Germany. I've been to Ireland for a very, very short time. So, and America, does that count? No. Oh, England, France.
And West Virginia.
It's 11.
I've only been to Canada and Mexico. I've been
But
to all
all
the
that's
states
through the
but
military, I
7.
mean.
There's only 7 states I haven't been to though.
Every place that I've been has been on official, business. I only went to Mexico as, for fun and drugs.
Yeah.
Anyway, I don't know.
Hold up, I was going to bring that back to. I don't remember.
I like that you wore a Cowboys hat today too.
You like that? I grew up a Cowboys fan. I'm not really a
Everybody
Cowboys fan
did.
now.
Yeah,
They were great.
I played for the Cowboys, Pee Wee League, in Franklin,
Franklin Cowboys.
back in '84. I was on that team.
Dude, I remember winning the Super Bowls and Emmitt Smith and all that. Man, I loved him. Troy Aikman.
Huge legs, that dude, Emmett.
Yeah, he could churn. I like big running backs. I don't pay attention to.
Who doesn't?
Yeah. Have you met Eddie George?
No.
I've met him twice. He's cool. He's huge.
A friend of mine is Aaron Kinney. He was a tight end on the team. He was on the volunteer department I was on for a while. Of course,
Yo, what
obviously
was
he's
that?
not playing it. But
Hold up. What was the Titan that wasn't there a dude that like a kicker or something that killed himself or wrecked in a truck or
I don't know. I hope not.
like a punter? No, this was like 5-6 years ago.
No, I don't.
Or it could be 10 years ago.
I haven't
now.
heard.
Shoot, I don't know.
Mm-mm. No. Oh, well, there was a hockey player that did that.
Is that your phone?
It's Angie.
All
I
right,
guess
man.
we could have cut it short. She's coming to get me.
I don't even remember what we were saying, but I sure will see it when we.
Dude, this has been great.
It's a good one.
I hope everybody out there enjoys this one. We're going to talk about music every single episode. That's the other part. So I want you to subscribe to us, and you'll enjoy the music conversation at the very least.
Yeah, and movies. We got to keep getting that in there.
And
too.
the movies.
I think there's a serious correlation there, man.
Yeah,
Like
of course
there's a big
is.
tie between the two, and I don't know.
Movies will win. No, music will. Music's the oldest form of entertainment.
We live in a rad place. Go out and get you some. Peace.
Dude.